Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Raw Law Unfiltered with your host, the DUI Guy Plus. Today, we are having a very, very special show. A guest who I don't think Nick has ever appeared on my show. I've appeared on his show multiple times, but well, I haven't really, to be fair, I haven't really done this thing consistently to have been able to cover all my bases. You know, we've had Jason Goodman, we've had Fair and Balanced, we've had Claire Best, we had some very top-notch guests, and of course, who who is the most top-notch in the, I know he hates this term, and I do too, by the way, the law tube community. I hate that term because it implies that we're like this organized group, and we're not. We're absolutely not. I tried. I thought we could get there during the trial, during the Johnny Depp trial, and I realized, leave it alone, Larry. It's all bullshit. Just do your thing. And that's what most of us have been doing since. So, without further ado, as he's slurping down some food backstage. I don't even want to embarrass him. All right, he's good.
Always
Nick Rekieta. How's it going, man? I looked at the little thumb and you're just like.
I was like, oh, he's doing an intro. Eat some of these noodles quick because I sound like death.
Oh, man. Are you okay? What? You just got back from Miami, didn't you?
I did. And I probably got AIDS, but I'm actually just fine. No, I feel great. I just woke up this morning and my voice was really hoarse. And I didn't even know because last night I passed out at like 8 p.m. really early for me. I usually am up till 5, 6 in the morning, but I guess that caught up to me. So I just passed out at 8 p.m. So I wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. And of course, my wife's asleep. So I don't talk to anybody until I get on a stream at like 8 in the morning. And I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Oh my God.
I was watching your stream earlier, and in the intro, you even said, like, I feel totally fine. I don't know where the hell this is coming from.
Who knows?
No.
You know,
there's like something going
kids
around
all the time. So could be that. But I got a big thing of mint tea. So we'll try that out.
It's not booze?
No, I had some of that, but I need to drive after our show, so I don't want to have to call you up for help.
No, you don't want to be calling the DUI guy. Cheers, brother. Me and my coffee here. So, tell us about your latest escapades, man. What have you been up to? I know you had a whole ordeal with YouTube, and you got your channel back. I know you're trying to like avoid YouTube for the most part, but the revenue, I saw a clip where you're talking about your negotiations with Rumble because Rumble cannot compete with YouTube monetarily with what you used to make on YouTube and what you're making on Rumble. So you were in negotiations. You said you're like one of their top 3 creators when you go live. You want to talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. That was why I was in Miami. I actually just signed the deal with Rumble. And it's great. A big stumbling block we had, and I wish I could discuss all of the details publicly. I obviously can't. Typically speaking, as you would know, negotiations that involve payment that might impact other negotiations and agreements have to be kind of confidential when you get down to details. But the long and short is the negotiation had to do what you were alluding to. It had to compensate at least a good portion between the gap between super chats on YouTube and Rumble rants. YouTube is very, very good at monetization and they've been doing this for a very long time. And they've developed some ways that entice people to super chat. One, it's just really easy to do. Anybody who sent a super chat knows you click the button, it keeps you in the app. You can hear the thing that's going on. You can see it for the most part. Just for the short time where you hit confirm, you can't, and then it pops you right back in and everything's very smooth. On Rumble, things are a little more complicated. And the main reason they're complicated is because of the monopolistic trust behavior by Google and Apple over their app stores. And that is that any purchase that runs through any app that is acquired from the App Store is subject to a 30% surcharge, which is crazy.
It is.
So when you're sending a Rumble rant on Rumble, if they did it through mobile, they would, if you send $10, the first $3 would go to either YouTube or Apple. And that's actually how it works on the YouTube app on an iOS device. And then Rumble takes their cut, which is 20%. YouTube takes a 30% cut. But Rumble says, well, we don't want to punish creators by taking away like this huge amount of money and feeding it to the Apple and Google. That's nasty. And there's a good argument that it's anti-competitive. And I believe Rumble is actually suing YouTube and Google over this in New York State. I got to check into that. But there's a lot of arguments that the App Store on both platforms are anti-competitive and exploitative practices. I think I largely agree. I don't see what they facilitate for individual transactions beyond the initial download. But that being said, because of that, they don't allow Rumble rants to be purchased through the mobile app. And so many people are watching, live content on their phones, on their tablets.
Sure.
That is crippling for creators. So, for me, it was a matter of, I would love to support Rumble. I want them to grow. I want them to be a tech competitor, not an alt tech competitor. And if I can help in some small way, great. But this is also my livelihood. So
right.
we had to get to an agreement. We've come to a very, very mutually beneficial agreement that I'm really, really happy with. And I'm looking forward to moving it along. The funny thing is, because everybody assumes that I'm an idiot, they thought that the negotiations, like that I had botched them at several steps. It's like, guys, you realize like I do this and have done this for a while. Like this is what lawyers do. We're negotiating deals. Trial is like the lowest for most of us. It's the least thing. It's the thing that we do the least. And, it used to be 30 and 40 years ago that lawyers would be at trial 30 to 50 times a year. Now you're really lucky to find even partners at firms who have done 30 to 50 trials. It's crazy how the scope and practice of law has changed, but especially in civil litigation, you just don't find people doing that as much. Now we're deal makers because trial is so expensive. It's prohibitively expensive for most issues. So
yeah. And I was going to say not only that, but a lot. I mean, how many bad faith cases have you seen pop up in your jurisdiction in the last, let's call it 5 to 10 years? And by the way, just for people not familiar, bad faith cases are where an insurance company wrongfully denies a claim and they're saying, we're not going to pay because of XYZ, and the XYZ is complete nonsense bullshit reason.
I had one specifically that I dealt with. I could talk about it if you want.
Sure, please let us know.
Yeah, so I had this case. It was several years ago, and it was a total loss of a house by fire. The house is 115 years old, I think, and so the insulation in the house is like cellulose, which is basically ground up 100-year-old newspaper shoved into the walls. So you can imagine if you
Very
breathe
flammable.
wrong, right? You smoke once, I mean, your whole house torches. This kid, I call him a kid. He was actually an adult, but he seemed like a kid to me. He was cooking a breakfast burrito, and he liked to, you microwave the breakfast burrito, but then what he liked to do is drop it in a deep fryer afterwards to crisp up the outside. Sounds kind of delicious. Well, there's moisture on the outside of a microwave breakfast burrito, and that caused the fry oil to bubble over, hit the heat coils, and catch fire. So he's got a grease fire in the kitchen. Whole house torches in minutes. And I've got the pictures from the firefighters from the discovery file. I mean, the sky is orange. Like you can't. Everything's on fire. And during the kind of cleanup of the event, one cop saw a brush torch that was on the property. So torch is it's like a torch this long, it's a little longer, but it's hooked up to a propane tank. And so you would take it and you'd light some brush on fire. It's a little flamethrower. They thought and speculated in one of the reports that this guy might have lit the house on fire with the brush torch. Now, when they actually got the brush torch and retrieved it, it's buried halfway in the dirt. It's a thing been there for, who knows, a decade or more. It's literally halfway. There's a dirt line around it. It's sunken into the ground. And not like evenly, not like it had been placed, like it had just kind of tipped and then stuff built up around it. So obviously not the case. No arson report, no arson charges, no insurance fraud charges. No adjuster looked at this thing and said this kid started a fire. But in one line of the police report, they said that there was a fire. So at first, the insurance company didn't want to pay at all. Then they determined that to be bogus. And they were going to pay, but they were going to pay 10 grand was their offer on a whole house loss. And so I had to come in. And
that's what we call a nuisance value, just to pay off to get rid of the claim, not what the claim is actually worth.
Right. And there's a really predatory thing that municipal insurance companies can do in Minnesota. In Minnesota, the municipal insurance companies where you're in a small community, mostly of farmers, 150 years ago, and there wasn't like a big insurance company that would come out of the city into the sticks because there just wasn't cost effective to travel out there and service these accounts. So a group of farmers would get together and they would pool money and create their own municipal insurance pool. And so then if one of the farmers would have an accident, their tractor would break down, they would lose a barn or whatever, that would come out of the pooled money that they would all agree to, and they would pay them out. Well, the rules on that were written 150 years ago and have not been updated since, I think, 1909. Whereas the rules on homeowners insurance for the big companies get updated all the time, and they work against predatory practices. Well, under these rules, if you have an agricultural property, they get to take out the age value of a home. So when you have 100-year-old home, they don't have to do. Yeah, they don't do replacement value. They do actual value, which is depreciated. So their $10,000 was actually high because the depreciated value of the structure of the home was near zero. Mm-hmm. And that was their justification. So I went in and I went in hot. Like I screamed at the adjuster for hours. And
how far did that get you?
I got the whole amount. I didn't have to file anything.
Wow, that is effective negotiating right there.
I said, first of all, that I sent them a case about why this is going to be, why I was going to win if we had to file. And then this other law firm sent me a big giant file, and they're like, no, we're the firm that actually did the case that you were on, and we say we're going to win. And I said, no, if you're the firm that did this, you know that I'm right, and I will destroy you in court. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk in and I'm just going to ask every single juror, when you pay your premium on your insurance company, do you expect them to pay for your house if you lose it in a fire? Or do you expect them to give you 1% of the cost? Which one is it? I'm going to ask all that to every single juror in there, and we'll see how long you last in court, right? And that was that I screamed the same thing at the adjuster on the phone for an hour. And then the next day I had a check for the full amount. It was great. But it was dumb. It was a dumb law. And they were trying to hide behind the fact that this was sold as an agricultural policy. Mm-hmm. And of course, this house is on 5 acres of wooded lot. There's not a single agricultural equipment piece in there. There's no crops. There's not like a leased portion of land or anything like that. It was entirely bogus. They just lied to these people when they sold them the policy, knowing they wouldn't have to pay out. And my clients had paid every payment on time for, I think, 25 years or something like that. So I was able to win that one, but that was complete bad faith. I mean, there was no basis to not pay the claim, and then very, very specious reasoning being used to pay this minimal amount. But that stuff happens constantly.
Yeah, and insurance companies have a rolling list, and I'm firmly convinced of this based on my years of experience in the legal field. I've seen insurance companies literally lowball, like certain lawyers get consistently lowball offers, and especially lawyers who have never stepped foot in a courtroom, never tried a case, never had a deposition, never filed interrogatories, never filed a complaint on some of these cases, versus the ones who have tried cases, have won verdicts, have filed consistently when they don't get something from the insurance company. The initial offer is already phenomenal. It's more or less sometimes the value of the claim. Not always. I mean, they still have to fight their fair share, depending which insurance company it is and so on. But I am convinced that insurance companies have like a list of firms and attorneys that they keep on file. Who can we lowball and who do we have to like actually pay? Who's going to fight the good fight, you know?
Right. Well, they actuary everything else out. It would make perfect sense for them to know what attorneys are going to cost them more money and still get the same result.
Exactly.
So they go, look, if this attorney is going to end up winning, but also cost us 120 grand in legal fees, we'll just pay out. We'll probably lowball a little bit and leave some wiggle room on the offer. But if it's a $450,000 policy, we'll offer 400,000 for, we'll bicker over some of the personal possessions and property. But we know the guy's going to talk us up a little bit, and then we're going to do it. But if we try offering it 100K, he's going to sit there and drown us in motions, depose everybody. And oh my God. I mean, you start deposing insurance adjusters. Did you hear the story of one of my favorite lawyers? His name is Chris Hook. Christopher
it's such
Hook.
a generic name. I want to say I do, but I don't.
Let me tell you the story. You might remember it. There was a big hubbub a couple years ago over this lawyer out in California who sent a bunch of what I will call the most hilarious legal email negotiations I've ever seen, where he was using every profane word in the book. He was calling the other attorneys a bunch of pussies. He was saying that he was going to come to their house and like chop them up. It was awesome.
Jesus.
He's like, you give me my offer or I'm going to come over there. I'm going to wreck your shit. And then we're going to come back and we're going to win hundreds of millions of dollars. Christopher Hook. It was this like minor thing of legend in the legal community for a minute because like they were so extreme. Well, I interviewed him after we listened to the tape. We read the emails and listened to the tapes, which were chef's kiss. But what had happened was simple. It was, I'm trying to think of it was Allstate. Again, a total loss from flooding in the house. Some water feature busted, I think, upstairs, completely destroyed this house in California. It was open and shut insurance claim. I think it was $450,000-$500,000. And they completely flubbed it. And so he deposes the adjuster and the adjuster's manager, finds out, if I remember right, that they both had inadequate training, had no experience, they were not equipped to deal with this thing, yet they're supposed to. And so they tried to no offer the client. So when he sees the gross lack of supervision and the failure of this company, he sees dollar signs in punitive damages awards.
Sure.
And punitive damages on an insurance company have to be in the multiple millions to hundreds of millions of dollars because these companies are so big, have so much money and power that to actually deter the bad behavior, you have to charge them enough. And
Exactly.
so he's like, okay, I got it. We're going to trial. Like, I think his demand was for something like, and he was 100% serious. It was for like $104 million was the settlement demand. It was huge.
That's impressive. Yeah, that is huge.
And he was very confident he would get some number close to that if they went to trial. But once he started sending those emails, he was removed from the case.
Why though? It makes no sense.
He died a hero. That was that guy's really interesting. I liked him a lot. I should check in on him and see what he's doing. He was sanctioned. I think he had to pay like 18 grand and some of the legal fees for the other attorneys. And of course the other attorneys were like, I feel very threatened. It's like, you don't feel threatened. You just see blood in the water. Of course you do.
True. Yeah.
You know, this guy's not going to actually like do anything to you. Come on.
No, but any excuse to give to the other side. You never want to give them a good, solid ground to come at you. But
Right.
listen, I get it. I get it. I mean, I wasn't in that situation. Actually, I'm not familiar with that scenario. I guess I missed it, but that definitely sounds very legendary. I remember a different one where there was a prosecutor. I think it was a federal prosecutor who filed a motion. This was years ago. This was like I just started practicing, and I found that hysterical. It was a federal prosecutor, I believe, who filed a motion objecting to the defense referring to the prosecutor as the government. Do you remember that one?
No, but it sounds good.
Oh, it was so good because he's like, well, we believe that this is prejudicing the people in a lot of ways. And by reminding the jurors that the government is the government, like, we don't want any prejudice. And the other side was like, it's the follow-up motion that really clinched it. You have to take a look at it at some point. It's been years since I've seen it, but I remember the colorful language in a very similar fashion, kind of just totally annihilating that motion, just completely destroying it, saying, fuck yeah, we're gonna call you the government because that is what you are.
Literally,
and we're gonna call a spade, and judge, just tell him to fuck off, and can we please continue and get a trial date?
I'm of the opinion that it's almost impossible to prejudice the state. Like I'm trying to find the scenario where I get to the two-prong question: does this prejudice the state, and do I give a shit that they're prejudiced? Like I'm like, at what point do I care what the juror's opinion of the state is if I can make the state look bad outside of outright lying and misrepresenting, which is a different story, right? If my lack of candor to the court is an issue, that's a thing. But me, like, just saying, these are the government, look at the power they wield, look what they're doing to these people. Like, how could that possibly impact their ability to conduct their case? Like, to me, that's terrible.
I agree. I totally agree with you, Nick.
I know you do, because
I've never had a case where I'm like, Your Honor, I believe the state is being prejudiced here a little bit. Can we, like, you never make that motion as a defense attorney. Let me just go through some of these super chats real quick as you take a sip of your alleged tea. Hit that like button. Mint tea. Alleged mint tea. Matthew Self, thank you, says hit that like button, you guys. Jennifer, welcome as a member to the channel. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go subscribe to Nick as well. Nick Rekieta, Rekieta Law on YouTube and on Rumble and on Locals.
Yep, rekietalaw.locals.com, my favorite place on earth.
There you go. Matthew Self says, also, Larry, did you ever figure things out with Meet Kevin? Oh, Meet Kevin for the collab with him publicly addressing the DUI a few months ago. Been looking forward to the interview or whatever. I reached out to him and I asked him if he wants to do it on his channel or mine. I think he said he already did enough on his channel and he's happy to, like, come on and do it on my channel. And I followed up, and I guess, like, not the negotiation, but like the discussion kind of collapsed for a couple of reasons. Number one, he wasn't really too hype about it. And I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, dude, you better fucking come on my show or else, you know, I don't give a shit. Like, you want to come on, come on. You know, you going to send me a message, be like, do you mind if I come on? Sure. Or I'll reach out and be like, hey, do you want to come on? Sure. But I wasn't going to pressure the guy. And he seemed like, the vibe I got from him in our discussions was kind of like, he's over it. He talked about it. It's out there. The video's out there. What are we going to do? Rehash some old bread? Like, it made no sense. So I kind of left it alone.
Who the hell is Meet Kevin?
Meet Kevin is a financial advisor, I believe, out of California. He has his own YouTube channel. He's got quite a following. I can't remember if it's over 1 million or something. I can't remember. I think he's got over 1 million, maybe even over 2. But I could be completely wrong. I just really can't remember off the top of my head. But the point is, he got arrested and charged with a DUI like in June, July of this year. And he addressed it. He talked about it. And then somebody like 3 months later was like, Larry, you need to reach out to him. And I did. And he was like, I'm happy to talk about it. But it was kind of like, a very polite, I'm happy to talk about it. And again, you
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
you feel those out and you're like, if you don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to force you. Like you've already addressed the issue. I'm not going to rehash something unless you actively want to. And he didn't give me that vibe. So I just kind of left it alone.
Did he win his case?
I think it's still pending. I don't have
Oh,
the facts on that because it was only 6 months ago. So most of our DUIs go upwards of like 12 to 18 months because no
yeah, they can
prosecutor ever
last
wants
a
to
bit.
fucking work. Yeah.
Oh God, I love prosecutors.
Do you?
And by love them, I mean no, I don't.
I was about to say, Nick, we're about to have a fight over here.
Nope,
No.
not a fan. Not a fan at all.
You've never done a lot of criminal work, though, have you?
I mean, I haven't done a ton of criminal trials. No, I haven't done any criminal trials. All of my stuff was resolved either in motion practice, getting it dismissed, or plea
Mhm.
agreements. I mean, that was what I had to do. I wasn't angling to do too many trials. Two, some of the people that I represented were like very obviously guilty. I mean, not
Mm.
like, so you look for defects in procedure, you don't find defects in procedure. You go, well, here's your options. I mean, you can fight this, or you can not fight it. I encourage you to get another opinion on whether or not you should fight it. But I mean, to me, I think I can get you a plea deal that'll be better than what happens if we go to trial. Um, but I mean, you did it. like, like you, like you've had those cases too, I'm
Of
sure, where it's
course.
like, yeah,
Which
you
lawyer
did it.
hasn't? Any lawyer says they haven't, they're lying. They're
Yeah.
trying to
All
get
my
more
clients
clients.
are innocent.
Well, I've never represented a guilty client. I know, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
According to them, that's the honest truth. I've never. There are two golden rules in the Hall of Justice. Every person is innocent, and they have a story to prove it. And number two, nobody has any money.
Yes.
Those are the two golden
Everybody's
rules.
broke in criminal law. It's amazing.
It's
Um,
incredible.
I didn't do much DUI work specifically though. Wasn't my cup of tea. And so I never like really got because it's kind of a specialized practice. And I never really
It
felt like
is.
diving into it. I did do a DUI case, which it was a plea agreement, but my job was more around delaying the plea agreement because of another DUI case that existed for the same
Mm,
person. And with some timeline fuckery, we'll call it, we could get them away from violating a probation order on the other one. So
gotcha.
we finagled a little timeline fuckery.
Look, man, lawyers are much like doctors. We deal in time. Doctors deal in time on this planet. We deal in the criminal realm. We deal in time out of prison,
Yeah.
out of jail. Even civil attorneys, I think, deal in time because in civil law, you provide a monetary compensation for time lost, right, due to an
Yep.
injury, for example, or a loss of like a house, a car, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah. Everything is time. And to me, I mean, that what you just said about criminal law, all of my criminal clients had the same thing. How can I stay out of jail
Hmm.
as much as possible? Like, can I stay out of jail and how little time can I do? It's always a concern. They didn't care if they were guilty 99% of the time, or not guilty. However, the deal came down was, please, I don't want to go to jail or prison. And
Yeah.
also, can we get this felony to a misdemeanor? Um,
The second most common one. Yeah.
yeah, which when you can get that, you feel really good about it. It's like, oh yeah, you're walking out of here with a $500 fine. Good on you. Go hit some more old ladies.
You heard it here first, folks. You mentioned something interesting, and that's one of the reasons. I wasn't born like I came out of my mother's womb, and she's like, "Oh, he's so cute. We're gonna name him DUI guy." Obviously, it's a brand that I have established over the years, and one of the reasons I dove into that specific area of law was back in 2008. I found out after I graduated law school, the American Bar Association, I don't know if you knew this, actually named DUIs as a specialty field. Like it is officially from the ABA.
Yeah.
They don't they don't name other fields of criminal law other than like white collar crime. I think that's kind of a specialty field, but short of those extremes like SEC law and all of that, you don't really have like a specialist in robberies or murder. I mean, murder maybe that's kind of like maybe a wild exception, but anybody in the criminal realm will tell you that a murder trial is actually easier to do than a DUI. And that's why I kind of figured if I can master the hardest fucking thing out there, pretty much nothing can get past me.
Right.
So that's kind of how I landed into that myself. But it's been pretty profitable. I can't complain once your name gets out there, and we're very lucky. I was actually shocked. I don't know about Minnesota, but I can venture a guess. You probably don't have cameras in the courtroom. Almost no states do. Kentucky, surprisingly, right? Kentucky seems to be behind everybody else, but Kentucky, probably due to all the fucking corruption and shit we've had over the years, the Supreme Court's like, all right, you know what? We want to watch you fuckers. We're tired of all this nonsense, so we're gonna put cameras everywhere. And I've had the luxury of literally having the cheapest videographer on the history of the planet. You know, $25 for an 8-hour flick.
Yeah, that's a good price. No, we don't have cameras in every courtroom, but they might have well, okay, correction. They've started to implement cameras in courtrooms during COVID. But what we did have before COVID was all of our proceedings were recorded audio that was then later transcribed if necessary. So we did have audio recordings of all of it. But yeah, the video and my personal opinion is we need to have video in every courtroom in every case that exists.
I agree.
And it should all be public. I just think at this point in time, the cost of it's free. I mean, it's effectively government free. You put a 4K webcam in a courtroom. And I mean, I've seen some of those videos, like you have cameras in there, but they're really garbage. But you put a 4K webcam that costs $200 in there, and then you tap into the microphone system that's already used. You just record everything. Like, this is a no-brainer, and it promotes transparency. It promotes our grift, but really it's more about just transparency in the courts. We don't need court TV to shoot and broadcast every trial, but I should be able to turn on like the 11th Judicial District of Minnesota's feed for the day and watch the roll call and watch everything that happens. And that we can't is a little bit of a crime to me. Like, I get that there might be special exceptions when you've got a juvenile offender or you've got a juvenile victim of sexual violence or something like that. You know, with that, we probably don't want that to come through on everybody's video, but short of that, like, we should have every trial streamed, in my opinion.
I completely agree. I'm shocked that we don't, because I remember when I started posting like my videos on the internet and I wanted to become a better trial attorney, or maybe it was even before. I remember reaching out. So I belong to this organization called the National College for DUI Defense, and it is the creme de la creme of DUI lawyers across the country. We gather like maybe 3, 4, 5 times a year. I don't go to every single one, but the seminars, that is. But I've met a lot of them. And I remember a few years ago, I think this was before my channel, I was reaching out and I was like, hey, can you send me some of your videos, like of your trial work? I want to become a better lawyer and learn from the best, basically. And I sent out about maybe 4 or 5 requests, and I got 3 responses back. And every single one, it was Tennessee, Illinois, and California. And I'll never forget it, because I was like, my jaw dropped as I read each email that week. We don't have video, but here are some transcripts. We don't have video, but here are some transcripts. I'm like, what? What do you mean, California? And I was there, I was there a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, aren't they like the most progressive? We have everything. Fuck you, the rest of the United States. We're ahead of the curve. In some cases, I have learned in California, you have to pay for your own stenographer out of your own fucking pocket. And
Yep.
I think civil cases, not criminal. Criminal must be preserved for purposes of like the court or something. I don't know. So for those, you'll get a stenographer. But if you have like a civil case and you want to try it, you have to pay out of your own pocket to preserve the record on appeal. What kind of shit is that?
It's crazy. It's an insane thing because video is so much more powerful than a transcript.
Hmm.
Transcripts leave out all context. Lawyers love transcripts, by the way. I
Hmm.
can read a transcript however I need it to sound. I can add pauses where there aren't pauses. I can add influx or inflection. I can do anything to that transcript and make my case. I'm a storyteller, man. Always have been. You give me a transcript and I'll weave you a masterpiece. Um,
My
but
cousin
so
Vinny, case in
yeah,
point, right? He said,
exactly.
I did it. I did it, or whatever the quote was.
And Ralph Macchio's like, wait, I did it? I did it? You think it was me? You're
The inflection
crazy.
is everything. The tonality, the circumstances. And imagine if we had to read transcripts of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
Oh my God.
Whew,
Kill me. Do you know how big
literally.
that record is going to be? It's got to be insane.
Oh, they were citing, if you've been following the briefs, they were citing to like
I don't follow
page
briefs,
number
only boxers.
20. They were citing like page 27,500 in a lot of them. Like literally, the record is
Yep.
probably over 35,000 pages.
It's crazy because you had 6 weeks, 6 weeks of trial, and full days of trial, very verbose trial. Like it wasn't like it was quiet and slow and plotting. I mean, some of it. The only slow and plotting parts were the recorded depositions, but those actually are probably wordier than the in-court interactions. They were just hard to watch on a, because it's just going and there's not really a good back and forth because they edited out all the drama. But still, I mean, so much was said in that trial. Another one that's got to be terrible is Daryl Brooks.
Oh
The
God.
Mainly because that judge, her her expounding on all of the things that she did in the courtroom is probably 30,000 pages alone. Jeez. Lady, shut up. Like, we got it. We watched what happened. It's on the record. You don't have to clarify the record on everything that just occurred. We all were there. Just move on. But she's going
People,
for Supreme Court of Wisconsin. That's why she did that nonsense.
yeah, I saw that. People were asking me why I didn't follow that trial, and I literally I have one very simple and direct answer to that. I value my sanity and my health, and my mental health, and my physical health, because I would fucking lose it I can't yell at the screen every 15 seconds. That's like asking for an ulcer and an aneurysm in my early 40s.
I missed so many days of it just because I had personal scheduling conflicts. I couldn't be streaming the trial the whole time. And every day that I missed was like sad because, viewers and interaction, this is what we do. That's good stuff.
Sure.
But it was also a blessing because, like, oh my God, this trial just kept going. And it's exactly what you said. One, you want to scream the entire time. You want to grab the judge and throttle her, like, "Oh, just shut up." And then you want to use her body to beat Brooks to death. It's like, oh God, you're an awful human being. Absolutely terrible. And you've got this sovereign citizen thing going, which
Hmm.
is it almost makes you worse than running people over. Like, trying to defend it with this is worse than the crime in some ways because it's so disrespectful.
Did you watch his sentencing?
Yeah.
That's the one piece that I was like, I can't miss this because I want to see his face turn. And it's pretty much exactly how I expected. As soon as the judge, remember, she had the two piles of verdicts, and there were like 97 counts or whatever. So she had 97 or times two, so like 190 stacks, right? 90
Yeah.
here, 90 here. And she went through them just to make sure that there are no errors, because the last thing you want to do is start going through them and then there's an error, you got to send them back, in the middle of the reading of the verdict. So she wanted to make sure the verdicts are in order. And the magical language that she used, I was like, it immediately alerted me to, like, I already know what the answer is. You don't even have to read it, lady. Because she said, 97 signatures, just what I expected. And she like put one pile down and picked up the other pile. And I was like, that's it. She
Yeah.
literally just admitted that we have a unanimous guilty on every single one. And watching Daryl Brooks' face, he actually looked hopeful. He thought, well, maybe I gaslighted this jury. Maybe I was successful in my bullshit. Maybe they saw through the, I've been shackled and zapped or whatever the fuck he was trying to argue about his electro shackles or whatever. But I'll never forget how in the beginning he's kind of looking at the judge, like basically looking at her directly for like the first maybe 3, 4, 5 guilties, and then his head just sinks because he realizes there's not going to be a single not guilty in there, is there? Or at that point, it didn't even matter. He was looking at a life sentence just based on those first few alone, and it's just terrifying that he actually believed maybe this worked. Maybe this worked, and you could see the life being drained from his eyes when she went on, and he realized that, oh, this is the end for me.
Yeah. Well, sovereign citizenry is the magic words principle. Literally, if I say these things, magic will happen and I will be exonerated for whatever actions my corporate person committed. Like that's the thought. And it's crazy because it never works. But there's a group of people who have been sold the idea that it always works. And the times where it appears to work, there's actually a rational and reasonable legal explanation for why the case against them was dismissed. And then those things get conflated into this magic witchery that was used. But it's like, if you spend a minute in a courtroom, you know that the sovereign citizen arguments, like, they hold no water, because the idea that the court doesn't have jurisdiction over you while you're sitting in shackles in an orange jumpsuit being yelled at by a judge, like, no, they're exercising jurisdiction over you right now. And the idea that they might not have jurisdiction in some extremely rare cases, but if you're in state court after you just murdered 6 people in that state and were arrested in that state, your jurisdictional argument isn't going anywhere, buddy. Like, there's no way you're going to get away with that. And so, yeah, he had this hope based on the magic words theory that he might get out of it. Although I do want to say, I was kind of annoyed at one part of that sentencing hearing. And it was when the judge was reading the murder convictions and allowed for significant applause from the gallery after all 6. It doesn't change the fact that the guy's guilty. It doesn't mean he should be exonerated, but that was improper. I didn't like that. That's not supposed to be how justice goes in the legal system. People should go outside, have their press conference. They can have a freaking parade for all I care. But to see the judge facilitate a round of applause for each dead victim was, I think, beneath the court, personally. I don't know if you have a different opinion on that.
I'll be honest, I guess I didn't watch that particular part, but just hearing it, I remember people were talking about it. Yeah, that's, again, like you said, she is running for other political office further up the chain of command. So for her, it's all a political play, earning the favor of the people. She didn't care about the legal process in that regard, it seems like. I will say that she probably suspected, and she's probably right, that it would not have any type of bearance on appeal. Like,
yeah, it's not like he was prejudiced by it.
Right.
Nothing like that. It feels a little gross.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a judicial commission inquiry into that. I doubt there is, but somebody might raise it, and it might actually hold some fluff, may not be completely empty.
Daryl Brooks should file. Daryl Brooks, I'm giving you legal advice right now. File a judicial ethics complaint against Judge Duro so she can get a vocal admonishment from the Responsibility Board of Wisconsin. So she can be admonished publicly over it. That'd be hilarious.
No,
That'd
no,
be the
no, no,
resolution
no.
I'm after.
That's funny. Um, Hyper Shouta says, I don't know who this imposter is. The real Nick Rekieta died in a tragic mini chainsaw accident. That's from your live earlier, I think, right?
Well, okay. So last night when I mentioned I fell asleep at like 8, I was going to do a stream. I normally do a stream every Friday at 11 p.m. Central, but I was out, man. And so then the speculation in my locals chat about what happened to me reached critical mass, and I apparently died in a well, we'll just call it a hot tub accident that involved a certain sex toy and then a chainsaw, and the funeral being paid for by the Birch Gold Group. So
That is an elaborate conspiracy theory. I love it. Sounds like
it's
your
all
chat for
true,
sure.
though.
I believe it 100%. Here's another one. Jim Horman says, that's not Nick. It's Brittany Griner in a mask. That's bad. It's so bad.
Hey,
Boy,
lady.
God love you, Chad. You guys rock, says Lisa. We got Farron Balanced in the house. Hey, Farron. She says, hey, my 2 favorite law daddies. Have a great show. Love you both to the moon and back.
What up, Farron?
Thanks, Farron. Mandy Caravicious. Hello, Larry and Nick. Stay well. We all love you.
Hi, Mandy.
I love you too. Kim C says, are the courts not doing Zoom livecast in 2023? Some are. So some, at least in Kentucky, since the COVID protocols, as Nick has already alluded to previously, some courts in Kentucky will still do Zoom despite the fact that we're open to the public. A couple of reasons. One, I mean, obviously COVID is here to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. But secondly, some judges have kind of enjoyed the idea, especially out in the boonies, the ones that can handle technology. I mean, there's some judges who are just like, I don't understand this. I don't want to do this anymore. And they've done away with it. But and plus, now that it's winter, it's about to hit, I suppose, a couple of weeks. You know, people are going to be getting sick, and judges don't want their courtrooms to become literally a danger, literally a war zone for like all these viruses. So some judges are still doing Zoom, and I imagine it'll continue going into 2023. I don't see them stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, they need to, and they need to broadcast it. Every single thing. Broadcast the court, broadcast justice, because our system was based on an open court and a transparent court system. It was a dramatic change from England, from the English system that was closed and abusive. And Robert Barnes is on my channel talking about this a long time ago. But the reason we have circuit courts, and judges used to literally ride the circuit, and they would go around because it was so expensive for people to travel. So they would travel around their circuits or their districts to these little towns and stop, and they would just hold court in the town square, and everybody would come out. They didn't have courthouses. They didn't have buildings. They had cases and controversies that needed to be resolved. So they would go to the people and just be there. Now we try and lock all of this behind these doors. And when we're talking about federal court, especially, they're nice doors. They're mahogany. They're 12 feet tall.
Huge.
You've got
they're like
marble pillars and beautiful woodwork and stained glass. It's like we've built cathedrals to government. This is not how this is supposed to be. And the least they can do is open a window to let us watch what goes on inside the cathedral that we all pay for and that is supposed to be public to us. But it's crazy that someone in California is expected to watch a federal trial in New York that might have a really pertinent federal issue for them, but they're supposed to do it by traveling physically to New York. In the old like when our country was founded, that would have been ludicrous. And if you told our founders that there would be technology in one day where you from somewhere else, anywhere else in the world, could pull up a sheet of paper and it would draw you the court live and play the audio from it, they would go, I want that to happen all the time for everything. We want everybody to see what's happening, because only through the public can we ensure justice is being done in either direction. It drives me crazy.
Nick here just trying to expand on his grift. No, I'm just kidding. But that too.
Never kidding on that one.
Of course. No, dude, I'm just giving you shit. I wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely. Open courts, openness to justice, with the two exceptions, one that you mentioned and one that you haven't mentioned. But I'm sure you know about. It's not a secret. So juvenile cases, those are, you don't want kids' dirty laundry aired publicly. That's just a huge no-no. Even in our justice system here in Louisville, if you go to the courthouse and you are not an attorney, there is a special bailiff that always stands outside juvenile court. And if you try to get in, who are you here with? I'm just here to watch. You cannot get in. Period. The end. Go home. Or you don't have to, you cannot get in, but you don't have to stay here, whatever. The second one that you haven't mentioned is disability. Disability court is another special court. Like those, again, for other reasons. These are people who are, either being deemed incompetent to be able to handle their own finances. They're being, some of them, their kids are maybe being taken away for whatever reason. Like that's more into the family law arena. Like those, again, anytime disabled individuals or children are involved, I'm okay not broadcasting that to the world. But pretty much short of that, everything else, like I understand some judges, for example, the Harvey Weinstein and the Denny Masterson trials were not broadcast to the world because the judges wanted to protect the victims in those cases, and there were multiple victims. So again, I can understand the decision there, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the right call.
I don't know if I don't know if I'd do it on Weinstein and Masterson, mainly because the victims are all rather public people.
What if you blur their faces? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, there are ways around this.
There's technology. I'm not saying like broadcast everything, but broadcast at least the parts that are not invasive, and then blur and then change the voice on the actual victims,
Yeah. Or, certain victims where they're going to testify, like say you have same thing. We handle this in every other case. We have a victim coming in. They've got a special circumstance. Special circumstances. They're a victim of a horrific crime that would subject them to public shame. They have some sort of permanent injury to a sexual organ or something like that, right? We don't want to put that out there for the public to consume, for them to be shamed over, especially if they're a victim of a crime. So, okay, we turn the camera off for the 4 hours that they're going to be examined and cross-examined. You can read about it in a transcript, maybe with their name censored out or just reduced to initials. Fine, not a problem. Or like you say, we blur the faces. We can obscure the entire victim. We just pan the camera up and not mention a name. We can do all sorts of stuff. Judge can just order that person will be referred to only by their initials on punishment of contempt of court. Really simple ways to handle this within the courtroom that they already do effectively on other things. They'll clear courtrooms out for certain victims and witnesses to come in to protect that person's dignity or identity, especially if it's a case that involves like racketeering, mafia activity, assassination type stuff, where the person would be in danger. We do this all the time. Like we can handle it. We can handle it. But 99.9% of cases have no reason to obscure anybody's identity at all. And in those cases, man, we should be all over it.
100%, man. 100%. We just read that one. Jessica Phelps says, thank you for stopping Bye, maybe, Nick. Thank you
What?
for stopping Nick from
You
streaming on his
stop
own
me?
channel.
Stop me.
I don't know. You gentlemen really helped me understand our justice system and have exponentially increased my interest in legal filings as well. You guys make me laugh every time I watch. Such a pleasure. XOXO.
Oh, thank you, Jessica.
Much love, Jess. Thank you. Ashton Upton says, have you or Nick ever thought about commenting on trials of the past like Legal Vices did recently with the OJ trial? Want to take this one, Nick? Go first.
I've thought about it, and I've thought, man, most of the drama is around not knowing what happened. And with those trials, the historical trials, you know what happened. The one, and especially the ones you want to watch, you know what happened. Like I wouldn't even want to go back and rewatch like Johnny Depp or anything. The OJ trial is also like 6 months long. Some of those
9. It's 9.
It's insane. Like the examination, cross-examination of some of these people are like 9 days of 8-hour days. They're brutal. And I love that Legal Vices is doing it. No, I don't want to do that. I want to be surprised. Plus you get these other like weird artifacts that are hard to explain where you're like, okay, why was this allowed? Because there would be a rule change subsequent to that. I mean, a criminal trial today is a different beast than a criminal trial in 92 OJ trial, somewhere around there.
92, 93, I want to say. Yeah.
You're talking 30 years of updated rules, courtroom procedures, what's common law. I mean, you've got some different stuff going on. So for me, I love that other people do it, and people have asked me to do it a lot. It's not for me, but Legal Vices, good dude. He should do it.
Yeah, for sure. And same answer. It's old news. I have learned that when you do older stuff, you just don't get as much an audience and as much attention. So as much as, and plus somebody else is already doing it. Legal Vices is on it. I don't see a need for anybody else to jump on that train. Let him have his fun.
If I was going to do anything like that, I have thought about doing a historical case studies on very significant Supreme Court cases. And there could be some underlying really interesting trial court level cases there. Like, for example, Mapp versus Ohio, which is a pretty interesting case. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the Terry stop case. And that case, if I'm not mistaken, involves one Don King, boxing promoter, former racketeer, involved in a literal bombing conflict with other racketeers. And Don King funded the entire case against Mapp, who is accused of hiding a fugitive who's part of this racketeering organization. Okay, there's really interesting stuff in that, and how Don King became a significant impact on your Fourth Amendment rights when dealing with police investigative stops. That's a great story. That's the type of stuff I would want to do historically. But like the OJ case was crazy, but it didn't do anything historically as far as like legal precedent. It set some ideas and expectations in the public's mind about the legal system, and people have a lot of opinions about whether OJ is guilty or not. But there are these cases that happened a long time ago where there could be some really interesting stuff. Mapp versus Ohio is one of them. You've got like Wickard versus Filburn, which creates the Dormant Commerce Clause, one of the worst Supreme Court decisions in history, in my opinion. But this is a case from like 1929 or something.
It's an old one.
And so it's like, okay, there's not video. You're just kind of reading stuff. Some of that stuff might be neat, but I wouldn't want to do like historical big murder cases because everybody knows what happened in them. That's just my opinion.
What about the Casey Anthony trial? It just came to me. Has anyone ever done like a Kyle Rittenhouse analysis like you did for Casey Anthony?
Well, I believe Megan Fox is about to start streaming at least portions of the Casey Anthony case. And I know that because on Wednesday of this coming week, I'm going to be on her show and we're going to go through the opening arguments
Nice.
on her show, as we did in these other cases. But
Mhm.
so she's going to be doing some of it. But I think that's like temporally related to the release of, there's like a big documentary or something, or she's suing her
Yes.
dad, or something weird's going on. I don't know the
I
whole
heard some
specifics.
stuff. Yeah, I'm not aware. But that should be a lot of fun. I think that would be interesting. I would love to come on at some point too if I get an invite. Um, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
when I say Megan Fox dash, not that one.
not that one.
Yeah.
For clarification purposes, for legal reasons, I have to state which one it is. Kim C says Illinois doesn't want to publish our shenanigans.
Whew. And that's the
Don't blame you.
danger, isn't it? You don't want to publish your shenanigans. That sounds like a closed court, not an open one.
Mm-hmm. G. Girtum, what happened with your case where the cop admitted to destroying the evidence? Last I saw, it ended in a mistrial, right? Yes. It ended in a mistrial, wrongfully so, in my humble opinion, as I so aptly. I did a short video on it, like a 20-minute video describing why I thought it was wrong. And we filed an interlocutory appeal, basically stating we found a case that said a judge, although they have discretion when to grant a mistrial, if they do so wrongfully, we basically have a right to have a higher court examine it, the circuit court in this case, and we can go to the Court of Appeals and the Kentucky Supreme Court, up the chain of command. If we believe that the mistrial was improperly granted and therefore res judicata, basically double jeopardy, then applies. Prosecution cannot retry the case. It is a special case reserved for situations where you believe, and not necessarily in our situation, but when you believe that the prosecutor and the judge either may be in cahoots with one another. A prosecutor makes a motion, judge just automatically grants it. I'm not saying this is what happened here, but the judges sometimes make mistakes. I'm just not saying it in our case, our case. I don't know.
No, but
I don't want
to. If you've got a cop destroying evidence, then you don't have a mistrial, you have a dismissal. I mean, that's my opinion of what should be happening there.
And he admitted, like I asked him on the record, on cross-examination, do you realize what you did is a felony? And he's like, yes. You do realize it's up to 5 years in prison? Yes. Do you realize it's a $10,000 fine? Yes. And I just stood there literally going, I think I just won.
You should have.
And I well, in closing, I started bringing up, because the prosecutor had a breath test result of like 0.046, and I just kept saying it's under the legal limit. And this is where the mistrial happened. When I said it's under the legal limit, the prosecutor was like, well, Your Honor, we're not pursuing under the per se 0.08 or greater, which is true, but it doesn't matter. He said, we're going under the combination. But I was like, I'm just stating the fucking law. I don't care what section you're pursuing under. And he noticed that when I said under 0.08, the jurors were nodding because he passed a piece of paper along and it says 0.046 and some marijuana. It was a combination. And the judge is like, yeah, that sounds like a mistrial to me. And I'm like, fuck no, it's not. But it was granted.
So they're going for just impairment rather than the statutory, or like you say, the per se
combination. It was they're pursuing the statute has like the 0.08 per se, right? If it's alcohol only and they blew into the machine and it's above, then they have like the observation. There is no number. Maybe it's a refusal, no blood, no breath. The police officer's personal opinion, the opinion DUI. And then you have several sections that are like combination of drugs and alcohol and so on and so forth. And the prosecutor kept arguing, I'm pursuing those, not this one.
Sure.
And it's complete horseshit.
Yeah.
So we're appealing it. So what's happening with that trial? It's literally in front of the circuit court judge in Madison County as we speak, and we're waiting on a decision, which will probably come next year at this point. I'm sure you Nick, you know this. Courts pretty much shut down for the month of December. Like there is nobody does anything.
It's a mess. I mean, because one, all of the judges and all the attorneys are doing vacations. They're going to meet with their families. Like they just had Thanksgiving and now they're planning their Christmas trips, their year-end stuff for New Year's. Kids are coming out of school. Just nobody wants to work. District attorneys' schedules become a mess. District attorneys often being younger attorneys with kids that are school age. It's you get into this place where nobody wants to be there in December, and defendants are often, unless they're confined, happy to just stay on release because that's one less month that they're in jail. So,
and the cop is still employed. Yes, and I agree, Nick. I totally agree. Tim Pools Yamaka Beanie. I work for an all-state. Oh, this is going back to your story, Nick. I work for an all-state subsidiary. They no longer employ or how California residents. Wonder if it's related to that punitive damages case. Employ or hire. I think it's hire.
Probably. I have no idea if it's related to that case, or maybe they had a string of cases with similar problems, just completely inept people.
Mm-hmm. Cat seat healer. They need to be in child custody. A big mess of lies and not the best judges. I don't remember what that might be related to.
No
thank
idea.
you for that. Yeah, thank you. The Squid says, how do sovereign citizens not understand that one of the only times the courts don't have jurisdiction over you is if the actions you took were outside the court's jurisdiction, or diplomacy immunity with no extradition agreement? I mean, that one's, I think, fairly simple. They don't. They just saw some videos on the internet, how to win every single case. I mean, the videos are out there, and there's specific name. You probably know it. I just can't think of it. I think it's Michael something. He put out like a string of videos in the early 2000s of like how to win every ticket. And I can't say I've watched it. I've watched bits and pieces of it, and for good reason, because I'm like, this has no value. This is devoid of information. It's just he got lucky, probably went into court. Judge was like, dude, it's a 12 miles per hour over. Just dismiss. Get the fuck out of my courtroom. I'm tired of dealing with you and your emotions. Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, I can win every case. Let me share this wealth of knowledge or something. And
now let me murder people in a national park.
Literally.
Now you guys know my weekend plans. I'm going to go watch that guy's videos, buy an axe.
Bleached Balloon Nut says, DUI guy loses infinity points for having dyed hair. Put on an Ed Hardy shirt and complete the package. I'm going to add a comma there. You bozo.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Bleached.
How many Ed Hardy shirts do you own on a scale of 1 to 10? Rookie numbers.
Thank you, JP, for the super sticker. C Goody, I think he's one of the staples on your channel, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, he's a mod.
He's a mod.
Which,
C Goody.
He's a good one, though.
It's in his name, Goody.
Yeah. Look,
Everyone,
we have names for mods on my channel, but I'm not going to do that to y'all's mods. Your mods seem cool.
Sometimes. I'm kidding. Please don't leave me. Everyone gets a DUI, says C Goody. My favorite joke among those with DUIs, greetings from Rekieta Lawland. May thee be blessed by our unbreaded Pope Nicholas I. Words of high praise.
Nominated Patriot Filiate Spirit of Grifty.
Julian Delfici says, this talk of the Pope being a mask-wearing fraud is heresy. Try as he might, Griner will never be half the man Nick is. Oh, man, I have to read these out loud. Fucking hell.
Have you ever listened to Brittany Griner talk?
Yes, I remember those interviews from Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, I got into I got into women's basketball. I was like, whoa, sure did.
Anna P, thank you for your generous donation. Just hopped on to say love and appreciate you both. Are either of you planning on making a video on the legal ramifications of the Twitter files? If you already have, my bad. I've been lacking on YouTube. As always, stay unbreaded.
I have to. So the Twitter files start dropping. This stuff always happens when I leave. Twitter files start dropping as I'm like, I go to this charity dinner and then head to Miami. So I haven't actually read through them to see from. I was asked an interesting question by a colleague about whether or not I thought there were ethical issues with the general counsel for Twitter potentially manipulating some of the evidence. Did he breach his ethical obligations to Twitter, his client? And the answer may be yes. Like, I don't know, but I've got to look through them. I mean, but there's certainly ammunition now to the argument, and this is what I'd probably be focusing on in my video, that the government is directly asking big tech companies to censor. Government censorship is a purview of government, a function of government, which could make social media platforms into quasi-state actors. If they become quasi-state actors, then the First Amendment applies to them as state actors, at least within those particular actions. And if that's going to be the case, we need some way to bring a suit under 1983 against them, which becomes this massive thing. And we were already looking at this with regards to Trump, who had started the ball rolling on Twitter and 1983 claims before he was banned even. I'm trying to remember the context. I was at Legoland with my kids when all of this stuff started happening the first time. This is years ago when I had just kind of started this YouTube thing, but Trump was being treated unfairly or suspended for, or he was in trouble for deleting tweets or blocking. It was blocking people. It was blocking people. And they were saying that that was like a state action that Twitter was participating in. If they keep expanding on this and social media gets caught up with government requests to do things, we can pierce that veil of corporate protection, apply First Amendment to them, and then they're screwed. And that'd be great.
Definitely. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to cover it. I've been too busy with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp filings, which Laura B and I have been working diligently to acquire. Shout out to you, Laura. That's been occupying like most of my time. That and like the Christopher Boozy stuff. Don't get me started.
Boozy. That guy's fantastic.
Isn't he?
I want to buy him a beer.
You are a kinder gentleman than I. I don't even want to see the man.
I don't like beer though.
You like whiskey, don't you?
Yes.
Whiskey man.
Big fan.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably eventually do a piece when. See, the problem with doing a video on the Twitter files for me personally is it's so voluminous, and between my job and my personal life, to simply hop on stream and start talking about them, I don't think does them any justice. Because I might get some things wrong. I may not understand what I'm looking at, and I don't want to mislead the public, especially if I find something and I'm like, wow, this is huge, not realizing that there's a counterpart to this that I haven't seen. And because I haven't seen it, anyway, eventually I will. I'll definitely do a video on, maybe multiple videos on them. It's just they're being taken care of right now, if you will, by Elon Musk. He's the one spreading the information to the public. So I'm going to leave well enough alone until we have because it's actively happening, as I understand. It's not like it's already out. There are still
there's another drop coming. Monday or something, or tomorrow.
There you go.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I know they're happening in real time, and the danger for a content creator to start doing something of that magnitude without having all the information especially doing a legal analysis, because all they're doing is dumping and discussing. To do a legal analysis, now you're required to take an extra step of, number one, being informed, being aware of all the facts, and making sure you don't miss anything. And that's a huge problem, especially when let's say I do a video today on everything that's been released, and then next week we get something extra that changes the value of what has been released previously. So there's that danger there. But I'll eventually do a video, probably.
I'm trying to catch up to it. I'll be doing a live stream going through it. As for like what you said, the legal analysis portion of it, that's going to be that's a taller order, because you do have to take in all of that info and try and process it. But certainly want to go through it for my own sake. And if I'm going to go through it, then I'm going to make you guys suffer with me.
And there you go. Fair and Balanced is covering the Twitter file, says Chris. So go check out her channel. Subscribe to Fair and Balanced as well. Go check her out. She's great. And Chris says, I will vote for Trump if he appoints Nick to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Oh, yeah, me too.
There you go. Guyver Mecton, what a great name, says, I was wondering if Nick could give us a hearty Homer. With that voice, I suppose.
Homer. I guess they want me to sound like Marge.
I think so. That's got to be what it is. New Space says about Darrow. She said she's running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court and told a convicted abuser to report to jail in 2 days. And then the guy went on to stab his wife's parents.
Yeah, that just recently happened. I think thankfully everybody lived in that incident. That's a really, like, look, Darrow deserves a lot of criticism for her pontificating on the Brooks trial, even though she did manage to get Darrell Brooks convicted with very little chance for an appeal or a mistrial being granted by the appeals court. So that was nice. But, judges, we can't keep everybody locked up all the time. And so there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I'm reserving my judgment on that one because, just because someone's accused, they're still not guilty. And that's a hard thing to remember in hindsight when that accused person goes on to do something terrible during their pretrial release. But pretrial release and bail are a right that we have. And denying them should be heavy, heavy considerations that are very, very limited. Now, again, I don't know all of the circumstances on this one, but I'm hesitant to criticize her over something that she probably couldn't see coming and has probably had tons of pretrial releases with domestic abusers who don't go beat, stab, or shoot somebody.
Yeah, and the presumption for a judge is to release over locking them up, keeping them with no bail or making the bail extreme, again, depending on the circumstances. But I don't know anything about these facts. So, and these things will happen, and it's certainly going to hurt her chances once her opposition makes a video talking about it during the election cycle. So we have that to look forward to. But at the end of the day, c'est la vie. I mean, no prosecutor, no judge wants to ever be a headline in a newspaper. Prosecutor sets no bail, man kills wife or whatever, man kills girlfriend. But in this case, I don't think there was a death involved, like Nick said. Again, I don't know much about it, but I echo what Nick said. It's not... we don't live in a perfect world, and sometimes judges make mistakes with doing everything right, following the rules, following the presumption to release, keeping the bail low, and shit happens,
Yep.
Alexander Vinay says, you guys rock the house. No questions today, LOL. Okay. Thank you, Alex. JG Comp, I wish one of you guys would set up mock trials. That would be fun. pick a jury from the audience. So we're actually going to do that. You're getting ahead of me, JG. We are going to be picking fairy tales from like children's books, and we're going to hold mock trials based on like fictional crime. Well, not fictional. They're going to be like real crimes, right? Of these fictional characters. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to get any headway or get any traction, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it for the people who will be involved. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
It's something I'm experimenting with.
One, you are way brave to do that. Two, the reason I don't do it is because I'd never thought of anything the way you're doing it. The amount of work that goes into generating a scenario for a mock trial, typically speaking, you have to create characters, you have to create crimes, you have to create facts, then you have to like find people to do the sides of it. Plus you can bring in a jury or whatever, but you've got to have advocates on each one. The amount of work that goes into like just creating a mock trial is monumental. Like when you've got like these mock trials that go on in schools and in law schools and moot court competitions, there's companies that generate this, that these schools are spending lots of money to buy these materials to get that. Plus, then you have to get your guest advocates, because that's typically what's going on. You have to get them up to speed, and that's a ton of time and investment that goes into that nobody really has. So, I mean, even for like the little, when you're in law school and you do like an advocacy class and you have to go and argue like a 1 hour exam and cross exam thing, you're doing hours of prep work to get ready for that. So that you're ready to go in with all of the facts, to have the arguments, to know what questions to ask of the witnesses that are going to be acted out by your classmates. To do that for a full mock trial on YouTube, you'd be asking a bunch of YouTube creators or lawyers to invest, I mean, dozens and dozens of hours of their time into the prep work for the show. It'd be hard to get people to do it. Now, if you did like some big production of it on something, maybe, but real quick, I was looking at this thing and, okay. So the guy was convicted at the time that he did this, but he was convicted to a work release facility and she'd given him 2 days to report to it. Like, that's not uncommon that you get convicted of something. You go to a work release facility, your voluntary surrender to an incarcerating facility is, this must've been, it's misdemeanors. That's why. Yeah, he's got misdemeanor battery, criminal damage to property, 3 total misdemeanors, 4 month in a work release facility. Him getting convicted and having to voluntarily report in 2 days on a misdemeanor, there's nothing like weird about that at all. That's one that she shouldn't be criticized over. If you're convicted of a felony in Minnesota, you get hauled away from the courtroom. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor, you get to report. Sometimes you get sentenced to like 18 days that you get to serve over a 6-month period at your leisure on weekends. So, because like people have jobs that they don't want them to lose over a misdemeanor conviction and stuff like that. So that's, to me, like, that's not a big deal what happened here. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's not something you criticize the judge on.
There you go. Tug Simp says, Nick, Vanessa has naughty dreams about you.
Oh, hey, me too.
Me 3.
Wow.
Whitney Connolly says, did you see the video of Columbia judge drunk on Zoom? Did you see that, Nick?
Oh, no, but I want to.
Me too now. Like in the country of Columbia, or is it like a Columbia County? I wonder. I don't know. We'll find out. Rage LB says, nah, SSD cord is corrupt as hell. It needs broadcast. There you go. Exactly like we discussed. Sherry B, I think it should be illegal to show the face of any school shooter. It's an interesting thought. All should be called John Doe. I think it would stop 80 to 90% of school shootings my humble opinion. I see what you're saying. So like a lot of these school shooter characters do it for the publicity. They just want to go down in history, and because they have absolutely nothing fuck else to offer, let me go and go down in the history books as killing a bunch of kids. If we make them all anonymous, then that will deter future shooters from doing that, because there will be no publicity and their name would be erased from the history books.
I
It's an
agree
argument.
kind of with the concept, but I don't believe in censoring speech at the government level. So I think we should just stop focusing on them
I'm with you
and
there.
focus on the victims.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Focus on
that's
the
a choice
victims.
that we make to do that.
Yeah. I don't think it will deter the behavior, because again, I think the percentage of shooters that do it just for the publicity is probably extremely small. Most of them just have a screw loose and they feel compelled to do something. That's my opinion. Again, take it with a grain of salt. TR Greater X1 says, I'm going to CDL, commercial driver's license school, next Monday. Oh, good luck, brother.
Go get
I
it.
know CDL holders have a lower limit on alcohol intoxication. Yes, they do. It's usually 0.04. And are there different rules on submitting to breathalyzer or blood tests when it comes to CDL holders? So free legal advice, or excuse me, $9.99 legal advice is what they're asking for. It's a very simple answer, really. And I've covered it on my channel for my Kentucky folks previously, so you can find the video in my channel if you haven't already. Don't refuse if you're a CDL holder. Once you get your CDL license, you do not want to refuse. First of all, why are you asking this question? Are you like making plans to drive your semi under the influence, or
Only a little bit though.
just a little bit? Please don't. Honestly, please fucking don't. I mean, I know I practice in this area, but I don't advocate for drinking and driving. It's bad. It's bad for society. I've always said on my channel, I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll continue saying it. If we can solve the DUI problem in this country, because it is a problem, I'll just go on to do the next thing. I'm already doing the next thing, you know, car accidents, other types of criminal law. So please don't do it. But God forbid if you're ever found in this situation and you may have had like a glass or whatever, or half a glass of wine, and you are wondering whether or not you should blow. In Kentucky, okay, I can only speak about Kentucky, refusing the breath test will suspend your CDLs. Whereas if you blow, you will at least get to maintain your CDLs prior to conviction. Same applies to pilots. Those two, the FAA and the FMCSA, are two federal organizations you do not want to fuck with. So the state won't care, really. I mean, they'll suspend your license. I can get you back on the road in your personal vehicle with an ignition interlock device. You cannot install an ignition interlock device in a semi. Those don't exist.
Also, don't drink and drive a semi, please, for the love of God.
Thank you.
For the love of God. Like, not, I'm of the opinion of, like, if you're behind the wheel of a semi, like, please, not even a drop. Like, just don't. Because even if
So
you're
dangerous.
not, and even if it, like, you could somehow magically determine that it had nothing to do with it, you're going to beat yourself up forever if you like ran over some van and crushed a family. Oh God. Terrible.
I agree. Rekieta, I think we found the imposter, guys. There he is. What do you put on your hot dogs?
Specifically ketchup, sweet dill pickle relish, and mayonnaise. Fuck you, Rick.
I'm almost the same. Only replace mayonnaise with mustard. I don't know. Why the fuck
don't
do you
do
put
it.
mayonnaise on? What is
Because
wrong
he's
with you,
from
man?
Chicago to make him mad. That's the only reason. That's the only reason to do it.
KTV says, one of the best legal streams I've heard in a while. More from YouTube, please. All right. Pinochet's helicopter tours. Welcome. Says I've never been the same after Nick radicalized me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Changing lives, man. One person at a time. The squid you're answering another super chat for us. Here we go. To answer TR Grado Rex 1, CDL holders can't ever have alcohol in your system, whether you are in your personal operating your own personal vehicle or in the commercial vehicle, and you legally can't enter the commercial vehicle within 12 hours of your last drink. Now, for purposes of maintaining your CDL license, there may be some truth here. Again, I don't know all the rules. I just know the potentially criminal prosecution side of things. That's what I was talking about. So there may be, and you're going to learn all these rules, by the way, when you go to CDL school. Like, they're going to tell you when you can and can't. It's probably similar to pilots. I think pilots are also like no drink for 12 hours, or is it 24? I can't remember. Like, their last drink must be consumed 12 hours before they fly or something like that.
I'm of the Drew Carey opinion on the pilots.
What's that?
Drink and drive is bad, but drink and fly, who cares? Snow White lines. Who are they going to run into?
Well, did you see there was that one video of the guy who crashed his plane? He was operating his plane under the influence. It was pretty bad. I mean, it was really bad.
I was joking.
No, I know, but I'm just Nick, stop advocating for drinking and flying, damn it. Thanks,
the only
Judy
drinking
Brady.
and flying is just drinking and then doing mescaline or something.
I'm flying high. Our Dizzy 2, thank you for the super chat. Mandalore Wise 01. On the Twitter file and suits, who would be the defendant? Twitter under Elon Musk, the former execs? This confuses me. Well, that all depends. And I think, as Nick has so aptly said just a few moments ago, if we can determine through, I don't know, would it be like a Senate committee hearing? It would have to be some sort of public sworn testimony before anything can really proceed, in my opinion. Although may not necessarily be so. It all depends. Again, if there is a determination that there was direct government involvement, First Amendment, as Nick said, is going to come into play, because the First Amendment only applies to state actors. You don't have a state actor, First Amendment doesn't apply. But if you have a quasi-state actor, in which case, if Twitter was used to silence certain acts of speech and or used to bolster different types of acts of speech, I mean, you could have would that extrapolate to the candidates themselves, Nick? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got Twitter on there because of their actions.
Yeah.
But then you also would have the government agents involved in their official capacity, so their respective departments would end up being implicated by that. And what you're talking about happening in a 1983 case is talking about a deprivation of rights being compensated by government, typically with some sort of money, an injunction against further actions against that particular person on those things. So you're going to have something there. Now, if there's other civil liability potentially for Twitter's actions that's being revealed by Elon Musk, no, Twitter under Musk, if they're doing stuff like, and there's a theory I want to see explored, and it's the idea of it's a covenant of good faith and fair dealing in contract that has not really been tested, I think, adequately with regards to these adhesion contracts of tech companies, the end user license agreement that we all have. But if we find that they're violating the covenant of good faith and fair dealing by arbitrarily, as Elon Musk has used the terms, arbitrarily locking out some of these accounts, and those accounts had a financial value that could be directly linked to some sort of loss, then yeah, Twitter could be on the hook for compensation of recent bannings that led to financial harm. And in doing so, if they find out that they're the bannings are arbitrary and not done in good faith based on Elon's own language, you kind of pierce the veil of Section 230, which requires good faith moderation to qualify for the immunity from civil liability. So that would be against Elon Musk or Elon Musk's Twitter, and then potentially individual actors at Twitter. We know that there were some rogue actions, for example, in regards to the handing out of blue check marks, where verification check marks were denied to people, and you have actors going out from Twitter trying to personally arrange for, like, I heard like $15,000 to get approval for a blue check mark. So if that's going on, those people could be involved in civil liability individually, not in their capacity, because I'm pretty sure it's not in the Twitter handbook that you would deny a verification check mark and then subsequently reach out and demand a bribe to get it. So that would be outside the scope of their normal work activities, would probably, insulate Twitter from liability there. But yeah, you could have anybody involved. It all depends on the facts of what civil infraction that you've got, or potentially criminal infractions that you have, as to who's going to be on the hook at the end of the day. But a lot of it's going to fall on Elon Musk's Twitter now, other than individuals. Like, he bought their liability as much as he bought them as an asset.
He tweeted about it earlier today. I didn't just buy a social media company, I bought a crime scene, was his exact tweet. And that's spot on. That actually happened to me, Nick. I don't know did I go public with this yet? If not, here it is. Back in June of this year, after the Johnny Depp trial, I applied for the blue check mark. I tried it again in July, tried it again in August, failed, whatever. But sometime in the summer, I don't remember exactly when, I got a random tweet message from somebody claiming that if I wanted a blue check mark, they knew how to obtain one for $8,000.
Oh, you got in cheap?
First of all, I thought it was a scam. Like, my first thought is like, this is just some fucking scammer who's trying to get my money. But then, when I think I did float the idea around in small circles, not really publicly, but in the small circles where I circulated the news, I did hear that this is a real thing. Like, you can actually, it may not be fake, but I never followed up because I just didn't give a shit. That's the bottom line. I'm not in the business of spending so much money just for some fucking social media platform I really didn't give a shit about. Just, I use it to spread my thoughts and my live streams and all that. But to be verified and be part of the cool kids club or whatever the fuck they call themselves, I didn't care. Now, I missed the window of getting the $8 blue check mark. I should have done that. I don't have a fucking iPhone.
It's supposed to start back up on Friday. I think it got delayed a little bit, but it's supposed to start back up, and you're supposed to be able to do it from a browser on a computer for less than an iPhone soon.
No shit. Okay, yes. Well, there we go. Hopefully,
$7 browser and like 10 or 11 on iPhone.
Why the discrepancy? Are they discriminating against Apple?
No, I mentioned before, same thing with Rumble, that you've got Apple takes 30% of every transaction. So that happens through the store. So if you buy it through the App Store or through the app on the iPhone, it's going to basically, Twitter's going to say, yeah, you're going to fund the Apple thing because Twitter wants their $8 or $7 or whatever.
You can go fuck yourself, honestly. Like, I'll still pay it. I want the blue check mark. I'm fucking getting it.
Do it through a browser. You get it for $7.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's the trick. Yeah, I'm waiting for that to go through too. I'm gonna get it, but I still want my gold check mark because they're gonna now have an actual like verified status. I'm so pissed. I got denied my Instagram verification the other day, and I'm like, how what more do you need? Like, I made every qualification for verification on all these platforms. I'm like, what do you want? I've got almost 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. I've been banned from everything and brought back. It's me. I have articles written about this stuff in regards to Johnny Depp and Kyle Rittenhouse, and I still just cannot, for the love of God, get verified anywhere. I'm like, why?
Fucking Zuck Muckerberg, man. That's why.
Yeah.
All right, we took care of that one. RR Dizzy says, hello to Saggy Boss. I mean Nick. That sounds like an inside joke.
Saggy ball sack, is what he's saying.
Saggy. Oh, it's they're exclamation points, bro. Like I don't fucking read lead speak on live.
Look, when you're old enough to sit on them, that's when you're old enough to be me.
Danny Nelson says Nick needs a gin and tonic with absinthe to help his throat. Blessed be the Pope of the unbreaded. Muffin Rando. Nick, Vanessa V has some naughty dreams. Yes. They really want to let you know tonight, Nick. Vanessa is having some naughty dreams about you.
No, I'm good with it. It's fine.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Professor Chaos says, Nick, do you know any good employment lawyers in the Dallas area? An employer falsely claimed a law enforcement officer arrest authority unlawfully detained me for 3 hours and falsely accused me of crimes.
Damn. No, not specifically, but I might. As weird as that sounds. I don't.
Dallas.
You got to get in contact with me off of a stream.
I can probably look into it as well if you want me to, but if not, Nick will get it handled for you. Maybe. Mark Wilkins says, with all the Twitter files coming out, will this make Facebook Meta a target-rich environment for lawsuits? I know they're big and afford a good defense, but 1,000+ lawsuits?
Do it.
Anything's possible.
All the time.
Yeah. Daramuth says, Nick, glad to see your old man impression is still working. Care to do the old "get off my lawn" moment?
Hey, you friggin' kids, get off my lawn.
Elon said, full transparency, says Beautifully Damaged. He's kind of doing that. I mean, he's still suppressing speech. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but he was all about like free speech, and he's still shutting people down. So like Kanye and some others. So
keeping Alex Jones off.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah, Alex Jones is still not on Twitter, but he's at least addressing those things publicly, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it would be nice to just see them go full free speech.
It's not possible, man. I don't believe so. I remember there was like a very short period in the beginning where there were a bunch of tweets that were like extremely racist and extremely hateful, but that I think people just got it out of their system and moved on.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it wasn't.
How freedom works.
Yeah, they finally. It's like a release, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love doing it. It's great. That's what I do every time I go into a new supermarket. I just stand there and say all the racial slurs all at once. I'm like, free speech is cool. And then I go buy chicken.
Get it knocked out of the way. And then for the rest of the year, just harvest the chicken from the produce aisle. Donald Gooch says, DUI guy, stay out of Nick's locals chat. Ladies be thirsty up in there. I'm going to heed that advice.
Hey, when you're the well, bring water to the people, man.
Mary Malarkey got DUI in Wisconsin. A new law was 0.08 in 84. Damn. They were ahead of the curve. Most of the country was 0.1 at the time. Under Clinton, the states had to change their laws from a 1.0 to an 0.8, or else they're going to lose their highway funding. So by 2001, I believe, the entire country was 0.08.
Another terrible Supreme Court case, by the way, with North Dakota, I believe, is the last. Or wait, no, I'm thinking of the 21. Was it the 21 drinking age for that? Or was it the DUI? Where they basically threatened to pull all highway funding from the state if they didn't comply. God, it was North Dakota. I might have been 21 as a drinking age on that one, but yeah. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I didn't know that
good
one.
Boy.
Yeah. Are you?
It was about state coercion, and it's like They were going to pull all of the Department of Transportation funding from the state of North Dakota if they didn't change their drinking age from 18 to 21. And North Dakota argued that that was a coercive exercise of federal authority over state law. They lost, even though it amounted to 5%, I think, of the entire state budget through this one thing, which if 5% of a state budget isn't coercive, like, I'm not sure what is. That's extreme. If you think about it, that in your own pocketbook, like they say, we're going to give you a 5% raise or pay cut based on if you do this thing or that thing. I mean, you're going to do it. You're just going to do it at your job. That's a crazy Supreme Court case where the Supreme Court failed.
And as you know, judges will bend over backwards. What most people don't realize is the analysis comes after the judges make their decision in their mind, right? So any Supreme Court or United States Supreme Court or state Supreme Court decision, for the most part, even some, not all, but some, maybe even most Court of Appeals decisions across our great land, the judges look at the case and they kind of envision, like, what is the right answer? What is the right conclusion I should come to based on these facts? And then they work backwards to justify their conclusion. See, that's what most people miss, because you can pretty much, as a judge, you can justify any decision, whether affirming or reversing. And it's, the judges try to get it right, but sometimes, as Nick says, they will get it wrong completely, but justify it in the sense of, well, we just want to raise the drinking age. That's going to be our decision, and fuck all, we're just going to find a way to get there.
Yep.
That's how bad law is written. So got a DUI in Wisconsin while driving from Chicago to Minnesota, St. Cloud, to meet my in-laws. Worst timing. Called a 1-800 lawyer. The first lawyer I called was best friends with the judge in Dunn County, Got a reckless driving. Hashtag who you know.
Sometimes that's the way to do it.
Tim Riggs says, I think it's important to note how great having all these lawyers on YouTube is. I agree. I can think of no other single situation that has got more of the public involved in and interested in their justice system. No question. It's quite interesting, because I even said this, I remember, about maybe a couple months ago in one of my lives, that by the time the Johnny Depp Amber Heard appeal is over, like half of our country is going to know, like, all this legal jargon in, what is an amicus brief, what is affirming a decision, reversing a decision, like all these legal terms are going to be like a response, a reply. What's the difference between them? It's still confusing, but it's interesting that this has never been in the public eye so much. There has never been an appeal with so much public attention before, I think, in the history of the United States.
Yeah, I can't think of no appeal that has any sort of, I don't want to say traction, because I think from what I've read, the amicus brief that I read was an absolute embarrassment. And I assume Amber's appeal is similarly bad, but so I'm going to read it soon.
Enjoy it. Savor every minute, Nick. You're going to have a field day.
Oh, it'll be good. It'll be good. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that would bring an appeal, like a pending appellate issue, into the public specter like this.
Don't forget to follow my homeboy, Nick Rekieta, on Rumble, Locals, and where else, Nick?
YouTube, Twitter.
Look,
if you want to join me on a hot tub stream, you got to follow me on Locals. I love the hot tub streams. Ooh, they're my favorite.
There it is. Thank you, Tim. TR Greater Rex is back. I'd never drink and drive. I was just wondering. That's what they all say. Because I was reading the FMCSA handbook, and it was saying that having your CDL, you've given implied consent to drug and alcohol testing. Just making sure I understood. And that's exactly what I was alluding to, is that it's actually not just CDL holders. Every single licensed motorist in the United States of America, by receiving your driver's license, you have given this implied consent to have your breath, blood, or urine, or any combination of these tests extracted by you, extracted from you by a law enforcement officer. Now, here's the problem. We got the Fourth Amendment, and you have a right also not to incriminate yourself, which is the Fifth Amendment. By virtue of those two constitutional amendments, all 50 states were like, well, shit, if we really want to get this stuff, we got to have some sort of ammunition, but it can't be a constitution. We can't violate the Constitution. We can't circumvent the Constitution. How about we simply make it an administrative procedure, thereby literally just walking around the Constitution, circumventing your legal rights altogether, and just call it, it's admin. We're only taking it away in the Department of Motor Vehicles is just yoinking it. There's been extensive litigation for decades spearheaded by the National College for DUI Defense, who's been around, I think, almost 30 years now. They've tried every nook and cranny in many, many different states, trying to argue that this is a constitutional violation. You're breaching the people's constitutional rights by yanking their licenses. This is not right, blah, 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 blah. They have lost every single one. The Supreme Courts of America have been universal in stating that taking away your license is purely administrative. It's not constitutional. You fail to blow, we just take it away. And them's the rules in all 50 states. So not just CDLs. CDLs have a much more severe penalty for refusing. You get your CDLs yoinked for a year with zero ability to drive for 365 days if you refuse. But if you are a non-CDL driver, you still have an implied consent, but you can violate it and the penalties are not as severe, because in some states, like in Kentucky, you can get this ignition interlock device installed in your vehicle, which will allow you to drive while you're quote unquote suspended.
Yeah, the implied consent thing is nasty, but like you said, I mean, it's tempered at least in part by the Fourth Amendment. They have to have a justifiable reason for the stop and a reason for the search. All searches are presumptively unreasonable unless you have probable cause and a warrant, or the exception to the warrant requirement. I think that's going to apply to all DUI searches, right? Like they don't get to do a Terry stop breathalyzer on this.
Well, states are different. Like I've learned there's this thing in Tennessee, and where I don't practice, but I've heard about it. They're literally called no refusal weekends. Have you ever heard of those, Nick? It sounds
like a violation to me of the Fourth Amendment, but okay.
Well, it is, but here's the thing. It's not, because nobody can do anything about them. Apparently, Tennessee, and again, I don't know the law in Tennessee because it's literally like this fucking long, just the one section. And I don't practice there, so I've never did a full analysis because I never had a reason to. But I do know that it's basically the most egregious Fourth Amendment violation you can literally think of. It's like stepping into the Twilight Zone, only it's reality. Basically, here's what happens. This is how I understand it. You're driving around on the highways, the streets of Tennessee, whatever. You get pulled over. They suspect you of operating a motor vehicle under the influence, get you out of the car. Let's say you're like, dude, I'm not blowing. I'm not doing your fucking field sobriety dog and pony show. Let's go. Take me to the jail if you're going to arrest me. They arrest him, take him not to the jail. They take him either to the hospital, or maybe if they have, I don't know where this happens. I honestly don't. But they arrive at a location where they basically have these, like, I don't know if you've ever seen these beds that have, or these gurneys, whatever the fuck you want to call them, with straps, and they strap you down, feet, neck, hands, arms, everything. And a nurse just comes over and calmly extracts your fucking blood from you. And no matter how much you scream, how much you beg, don't touch me, they will forcefully take your blood away from you, whether you like it or not. It is
At
the
least
most.
Give me a handy with it.
Dude, like,
make it worth it for me.
I have never in my fucking life heard of anything like that until I heard about this shit in Tennessee. And
It's crazy.
they call them no refusal weekends, and somehow they're constant. I know in Kentucky, we have a beautiful case called Combs v. Commonwealth, and it went further than any United States Supreme Court decision to date. It literally says, unless you have been in an accident and severely hurt or killed someone, serious physical injuries, the magical court language, serious physical injury or death, a police officer can't even get a warrant. They can literally get a warrant, shove it in your face, and you say, fuck you, I'm not giving you my blood.
Sweet.
That's Kentucky for you.
That's how blood should be. You don't touch my blood.
We're fucking progressives when it comes to DUIs, Nick. That's about all we're good at.
Well, you got Andy Bashir, progressive on a couple other things.
True. I can say because I live in Kentucky.
Like locking people in their houses at the threat of death over COVID. Oh my God, that was amazing.
What about the collecting the license plates of all the people who went to church? Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, I just want to get a license plate that's just FUKU.
BSHR. Glowty says you guys should do this more often.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Ding Chavez 09. Could this not be an in-kind campaign contribution? What's in-kind?
So in-kind contribution would be a contribution of something with value, but not like money.
I understand. I thought it was like a company. Yeah.
I don't know what campaign, like what this is that they're talking about. I don't remember the context, or I don't know the context.
Yeah, me neither. I was thinking maybe the Supreme Court, her running for the Supreme Court in Wisconsin, but I don't know.
It could be.
Pinochet's helicopter tours. While I'm not looking for legal advice, sure you aren't, are we sure the 1964 CRA applies to communists? I'm asking for a friend involved in some accidents over an ocean.
I don't think political orientation or affiliation are protected classes under the 64 Civil Rights Act, which would be what, U.S. Code Chapter 7 something. Last I checked, that's actually less open than most of the state ones. It's just race, age, national origin, sex, and religion. I think that's all of the 64 Civil Rights Act. So I don't think political affiliation is in there. So you should be good. Throw commies out of helicopters.
There you go. Jansen says, Nick, have you tried clearing the nose-sized phlegm from your throat?
I did. My nose, like I actually didn't have a nose before that. And then I coughed and just popped right out.
As they tend to do. Daramuth, Twitter Blue will be $8 on Monday for online. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my God. Wait. The Amber stands are going to be livid because they know this is what they don't understand. Like people like myself, and sounds like probably people like you, Nick, we don't give a shit about this whole blue checkmark thing. Like they excluded us, whatever. But now we have a golden opportunity to fucking steal that blue checkmark and have it for ourselves. And by God, I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to fucking do it.
$8? $8?
You kidding me?
I get to go to the top of people's mentions and annoy people more. Yeah, do it for $8.
Oh, they're going
to comedy out of it.
They're gonna fucking go ape shit, and then of course they're gonna throw a fit. Well, it's not an authentic blue check mark. You had to buy it. I don't give a shit. I have one, or I will. At the time, I'll be able to say it. So I'm happy. Tim Riggs says, would also add, F the LawTube concept. I want creators going rogue and working with each other ad hoc, not with deliberate intent. So true.
Yeah, I did a long video about this back when a certain event happened, and I clipped out that segment a couple weeks ago and re-uploaded it on YouTube. You can check it out. It's my video about why online communities are cancer. It's called
I
"I Was
remember that
Right."
one. I
Online
remember that
communities are
rant.
cancer. Yeah.
Yeah, it completely, because we have just so many different personalities coming in. You don't know who's who and who's what and what's what.
Oh, do you remember the worst part of it? Here's why you don't have a law tube and why you never can. Do you remember some guy drew a picture of each of us? There were like 19 pictures of the different lawyers or whatever who were covering Johnny Depp. And
Yes.
then and then in that little group, they circulated a release form and we all had to release our likeness so that they could sell it. And it's like, dude, it's a hand-drawn picture of each of us. It's your impressions. It's not our like you didn't take our likenesses. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to make all of us lawyers consent to selling our image? No, I don't I never signed that thing. So
I never got it. I don't remember. I must have lucked out, man.
if people were mad about like not being able to buy that thing because someone didn't sign it, it was me. And you never gonna get me to sign bullshit like that because it wasn't necessary. You could have just sold the thing without me, but don't make me do it. Like what? For why? Lawyers ruin everything. God, LawTube would be such a disaster trying to manage a bunch of legal assholes.
It was this thing.
Yeah.
They asked you to sign for what? What was the signature for? To release your rights to sell this fucking thing?
And look at you. You're up there in the top right. And I'm there down near the bottom left. It's like, I mean, that's not me. That's not my likeness. That's someone's impression of me. You don't need a release form for this, but
no,
this is just an example of why you don't want lawyers involved in anything normal people do. Because God, they make everything a pain.
We just suck the life out of life, man.
There's no fun allowed when lawyers are present.
I'm actually surprised. I remember I was looking for this thing, why it's top of mind for me, and I was able to access it so quickly because I was actually looking for it recently. I was going to do something with it. I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore, but I just had an idea. And dude, I'm going to be honest. I was so fucking naive because I came out of the woodwork. I had my own channel doing my own fucking thing for like 2.5, 3 years, slowly but surely building a following on my DUI shit. I did not do pretty much anything. 99.99% of the stuff I was doing on my channel was related to DUI law in some way, shape, or form. The trial obviously changed all of that.
Yeah.
But when I came on the scene, I was like, dude, I'm an eternal optimist. That's my downfall. That's my biggest downfall because I saw a potential for something greater than myself. I'm always a visionary. You know, I like to see into the future, like what can this be in 5, 10, 20 years or whatever. And I was like, we have all these lawyers and we're all content creators. And what if we create a community and all that? And then you came out with the all online communities are cancer and bullshit. Anytime that there's money run, and I was like, fuck, this dude's right. I did not see that coming. I was not ready for that. I was too hopeful. I was too optimistic that people will not be, and this is what I ran into. And this is what I personally don't have. So I can't see it. Pure fucking greed. Dollars and cents. When you don't have them, you become super fucking hungry and you are ready to trample over others, kill them, metaphorically speaking, just to get a few extra bucks. That's what I was not ready for. I thought most attorneys should be kind of well off. We're not, most of us shouldn't be starving if we're doing our shit right. You know what I mean? So when I ran into this starvation zone, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you so evil and mean and hungry? And then, like I said, I saw your video and I was like, oh, well, shit, there goes my idea.
Yep. I got nothing to add, brother.
Because it's true, because it's all true. And I didn't see it coming, but yeah.
I only knew because I've been through it with several communities before this one.
Okay. So you've had the requisite experience and now I do too. So yeah. Lynn says, yep, I just saw a community play where Scrooge was pro se. So you're going back to the doing the fairy tale mock trials. I probably don't know what I'm walking into, Nick. I mean, I think I'm going to be doing it mostly ad hoc as much as
If
I
you, yeah.
can.
Oh, if you keep it light and fun, and you
That's the goal.
use stories that people know, that gets rid of a whole big thing, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, well, everybody knows like Rumpelstiltskin, kidnapping, fraud, coercion. Like, okay, we can get through these things and we can make some fun arguments, keep it light. But people want to do like mock trials of like real cases and stuff. It's like, oh my God, you're asking a huge amount from people.
Yeah, we we actually had a couple of volunteers, and I'm gonna hold you all to it in the chat. So please, I mean, I don't know if you saw. I assume not, because I never assume anybody watches my shit at all. The 100, no, not the 100 million. It was the multi-million dollar treasure hunt gone wrong.
Oh God.
If we're not going to talk about it, it's a fucking mess. But the point why I bring it up is when I was in California in November for the Masterson and Weinstein trials, I actually met up with a couple of those people for lunch, and they floated the idea for the mock trial, and they already had an individual who has done them before, not an attorney, but is familiar with the concept. And they were like, well, talk to them and maybe you can get something going. So I reached out and they're like, fuck yeah, I'm all in. I'd be happy to appear on camera. I'd be happy to do it live. I have like resources of, they've already done it in the past. So that's why I'm hoping like maybe under the guidance of their experience and a couple of volunteers, all we really need is, I think, 3 people. We need a judge, a prosecutor, a plaintiff's attorney, and a defense attorney. And then the chat can be the judge, or excuse me, the jury. That's,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of like the idea I have in my head. So all
Hey,
you
put
really
up,
need is 3 people.
Throw up a YouTube poll for the jury at the end. That'd be good.
Ooh, I like that. Actually, no, we need a 4th one. We need a witness. At least one
Yeah.
person who will play. If they can play every single witness, that'd be great. If not, we would have to have more people. And that's where it gets really crazy, because now you got to prep. And like you said, I haven't fully, I haven't even started. It's all it is a concept right now. It is not even in motion yet, but definitely something I'm considering.
Yeah, I'm gonna step away for just a minute. I'll be back in just a second. I gotta hit the bathroom. I gotta hit the freaking bathroom. Hold on. Gotta go clean the truck stop with my tongue.
Oh man, I forgot how much fun Nick is. You guys, he'll be right back. I swear. LawTube has not been the same since the trial. LawTube, when I say LawTube, I don't mean the organization, the community, because there's none of that. The collective of the individuals who are attorneys and stream on YouTube is what I'm referring to, has not been the same. Now, we've definitely learned about each other. We've unified or disbanded, depending on which streamer you are. But the beautiful thing, I think, is that everybody kind of fell into their own niche, into their own category. Some people went off and started talking about like video games. Others fell off the entire map altogether. Still others are streaming different trials from historical events. Others are gathering in large groups and are doing these Dungeons and Dragons events, right? So like everybody kind of just fell into their own, you know. I am starting to create this community of bringing people in, interviewing them, trying to bring fresh, relatable content to everybody. So let me take this moment to say, don't forget to like this video, comment below, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of content, or even if you fucking hate it. You never know. Tomorrow, I might do something you absolutely fucking love. So, hey, you never know. And also, I know he's gone. He'll be right back. Don't forget to subscribe to Nick Rekieta. Go to Twitter. He's on Twitter. He's on Locals. He's on Rumble. He's on YouTube. Fuck, this guy's everywhere. So go, you guys know Nick. You guys know Nick. And if you don't, you will now. But yeah, it's a very interesting time to be alive. Especially, I think all of us are waiting for the next trial, for like the next big thing. I don't know what that's going to be. I really don't, because the Vallow trial in Idaho that was supposed to start next month, I believe it has recently been announced that the judge said the cameras will not be permitted in the courtroom, going in violation of her previous order, or in direct contradiction of her previous order, which was the cameras will be allowed. The cameras will be allowed. So, Miss Kitty 13, Larry, you have inspired me to look into becoming a paralegal. Really? Well, I've inspired people to become lawyers. I think you might be, well, you're one of the first ones for sure. To have inspired to become a paralegal. So God bless you. Go fucking get it, girl. Go get that shit. Go get that money. DUI guy Runkle, Rekieta, and Good Logic are the real LawTube. Thank you, great Dalmuti. But yeah, I think I like where we're all headed. Everybody has their own trajectory, and everybody brings something new to the table. And then you also have streamers like Fair and Balanced, the Gallus sisters, non-lawyers also bringing you the latest on Colonel Kurtz is another one. Popcorn Planet is another one. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody, but they're truly Laura B, of course. How could I forget the real Laura B? They're non-lawyers who bring beautiful, interesting content. That Umbrella guy, come on, he's like the creme de la creme of. He's been doing this for so long, and I think his profession has allowed him to be best equipped to bring the quality content that he brings. Although I know he likes to go off on these occasional rants for a while. Like he'll just talk. I remember trying to get his attention, not realizing he just goes on these rants. I'm talking about that Umbrella guy.
Oh, Tug. Yeah,
Nick.
Tug's good.
Tug is amazing. And I remember trying to I super chatted him, trying to get his attention for whatever reason. And all of chat was like, Tug, Larry's here. Larry needs her. And he just kept going and going and going. And I didn't realize he doesn't, he's not very good at following chat. And I learned the hard way. But it's okay. Not holding anything against him. It's just something you had to learn, Did
you call me a LawTuber while I was gone?
Oh, of course. Of course. You are a member of the non-organization. It's just the collective hive mind. If YouTube had a separate brand of just lawyers, and you could click on and be like, let me see what LawTube is up to. You, me, Emily, Ian, Legal Bites, we would Uncivil Law, Hogue Law, we would all be in that category. Tragos, that's what I was referring to.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I love it, man. I love it. Chris Clements says, any guesses what song Nick is singing in his head?
At the time you wrote that, it was Obvious by Ian Dior and Travis Barker, and then it switched to Next X by Swecco. Do you have a theme song running in your head all the time?
Not all the time. But when I win a trial, it's We Are the Champions for sure.
I just have music in my head pretty much constantly, and I'm just kind of bouncing along with it. So,
Are you listening? Are you seriously listening to music like during your
no,
streams?
like in
Or
just up top. Like I'm not actually listening to music; it's just running through my mind.
fair enough. I don't really have that. My mind is usually just completely fucking blank.
You're one of
Yeah.
those.
I love so you know the empty box that we all have as guys, the ones that women crave and wish that they had. I love that empty box. That's like my favorite box to spend time in, like thinking
Oh,
about
I
absolutely
see.
nothing.
Yeah. No, I don't have that. My empty box
You're
is
missing
full of
out.
people I want to ruin. Take that as you will. They could go a lot of different directions, and all of them are true.
Do it to it, brother. Kyle Cowden says drove fire engines, trucks, and rescues subject to Department DOT and TXDOT drug and alcohol tests. We did have no alcohol after 2300 military time before the shift. Thank you, Kyle. UNOF Jr. as a by ADJ, by ADJ for one of the top 3 auto insurance. Oh, adjuster. A buy adjuster for one of the top 3 auto insurance companies. I love hearing y'all talk about bad faith. I've seen my fair share, none my fault.
Wait, do you mean like a bi is in like bisexual adjuster,
That's
or
what I've been
just
trying
is
to
that
figure out.
something else? Or maybe it's a big insurance. Oh, it's a big insurance adjuster, I bet.
Big
Like
insurance.
one of the top 3 auto companies. So I'm guessing it's big insurance. So like
It's
State
sometimes
Farm, something like
it's
that.
difficult to figure out these little acronyms that people use.
Yeah.
Are either of you going to cover the Meghan Markle sister lawsuit or the Casey Anthony versus dad lawsuit? Maybe.
I don't know.
I haven't really been following this whole Netflix debacle with the Harkles. I just don't give a shit.
Yeah, the Meghan Markle, and like the only thing I would want to cover is like the point where C Boozy's involved and make fun of him, because he is deserving of ridicule and mockery for being a complete loser who presents as being important. And that is the funniest thing to me, because you should never present yourself as important. You should always just be humbly who you are. And C Boozy's like, I run a bot sentinel, a major firm, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, you got a computer in your kitchen because you can't afford a spare room, just like everybody else. Like, you're not special. You're just some guy with an apartment and like a keyboard. Oh my goodness. Well, you're very important with your Twitter employees. I'm going to borrow my friend Dick Masterson's expression. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich, Boozy?
Right there. Some guy with cancer. The best part is journalists can't hide in their verified tabs. Yes.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you with my DM requests that go bloop right into the front. Verified DM request. Who's this? Oh, God.
Muffin Rando. Jennifer still waiting Baldo interview.
Review. It's coming. It's coming. I know I said it was coming. I had the quick trip to Miami, which was unexpected, but it's coming.
Follow up previous super chat by Mary Malarkey. Never drove after drinking, chose to take wheel that night because boyfriend, later spouse, appeared intoxicated and I felt I had to. Yes, I was young and foolish and never drove after drinking till this day, 40 years later.
There you
Thank
go.
you for that, Mary. Pinochet's helicopter tours. LawTube sounds communist. I have a remedy for that. Mr. Rekieta is here pro per, says Jonathan. Welcome Wrathchild to the channel. And Nicholas Stero tweets with a bought blue mark. It becomes a twat. I can
I'll
echo
buy
that
it.
sentiment.
I don't care.
Yeah, dude, fuck that noise. As blue as a blue is a blue. Oh, there we go. Jessica Phelps says, I will be a mock witness. Send me an email. Send me an email, Jessica. Like, no joke. lforman30@gmail.com. LFORMAN30@gmail.com. We'll have you on. Jonathan says, you said LawTube. Here's $10 for the jar. Is that a running joke on your channel? I have to wonder. No, just a
No,
random.
but if saying LawTube got me $10, I'd say it constantly. I'm going crazy.
The grift is real, bro. Now I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Viking Wolf by Blood, who changed her photo, I believe. I am game for playing multiple witnesses. Same answer. Email me. Email me, please. This is something we're going to be doing probably in the next week or so, as the briefs are going to slow down a little bit. Content may or may not still be coming, but I have a lot of time on my hands, as we discussed. Like, the court system is so slow right now. It's almost embarrassing, but I get it.
It is embarrassing.
It's just part of the shtick. One of those things you have to deal with as a lawyer. Tim Pool's Yarmulke Beanie. Did I hear correctly that you are representing Brad the Gitologist? I am not at liberty to discuss, as there is attorney-client confidentiality involved. Potentially.
I'm not.
C. Goody says, the constant lawtism ruined LawTube, #lawtists.
Yep.
The Onion mock trial says Sherry B. Okay. Death Wish, Legal Bites, a cunt or a cunt?
Wow. Doesn't leave many options, does it? Jesus.
Brutal. Tim Pool's Yarmulke Beanie. Hopefully someone covers the Delphi case. Now, was that the recent murder?
Yeah.
I heard about it, but I haven't really been following.
Yeah, me either.
While you do that, Tim Riggs says, I'm all for common citizen learning more about and getting involved in the legal system. We can't vote well without knowing these things. Very true. Very true. Pinochet's helicopter tours. Do you think we're any closer to seeing corporations going after YouTube or creators directly? For example, someone like Nerdrotic for tortious interference. Do you know much about this, Nick?
Okay. Tortious interference is really hard when someone is just speaking very publicly and openly about something. Tortious interference tends to attach to someone's actions when those actions are done outside of conventional channels of communication or with some sort of special influence. So Nerdrotic saying this Disney show is garbage and trash can't be tortious interference because you're just expressing a public opinion about a public thing. Now, if Nerdrotic were to call up his buddy, who is the CEO of AMC movie theaters, are they still around? Cinemark movie theaters, and say, yeah, you shouldn't distribute this Disney movie because, you know, that Bob Iger guy is a pile of trash and he probably rapes kids or something. If he were to do that, that could get into the territory of tortious interference. But if you're just out saying an opinion, no. Will that stop them from trying to attach tortious interference to public criticism from people of sufficient volume? It won't stop them, but I think they run some risks on those lawsuits, and those risks are things like anti-slaps and stuff like that. Anything geared towards specifically shutting down speech could end up costing them a lot of money and a lot of bad publicity, and it just makes someone like Nerdrotic a whole bunch of money, as he would get to make fun of them publicly. So I think that kind of tempers the the possibility myself. But never underestimate the ability of a corporate counsel to do something stupid.
I can tell you a personal story without naming who it was. So a very large personal injury conglomerate here in Kentucky reached out to me a couple of times. Now get this, you can't make this stuff up. They alleged that I need to go. So I have a Google AdWords campaign running for certain keywords for my law firm, right?
Right.
So when people go on Google and they search for, I need a lawyer for this shit, my name comes up in the top 3. Well, sometimes you type in, the car crash guy or the DUI guy, and you're going to get certain types of results. If you typed in a certain company's name, sometimes my car crash guy, for example, or my DUI guy would also pop up in the suggested results.
Yeah, it happens with any ad campaign that exists.
Exactly, because Google disfavors monopolies. Well, this company has sent me not one, but 2 threatening letters, cease and desist letters, straight up, telling me that it is my duty, and they sent the proof where they're like, well, we searched for our company's name and your fucking name popped up. It is your duty to go into your AdWords now, go to the negative keywords tab. Here are instructions how to get there, like I'm fucking 12, and add our company's name as a negative keyword because you're competing with us.
That sounds like your ad is working really well, actually. Sounds like that's the goal. I would add other people's law firms to my keyword searches.
That is called a conquest campaign. And even those Google is okay with. First of all, because they're making more money, so they don't give a shit. But conquest campaigns are real. So let's say if Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe is another personal injury firm that I'm competing against in Kentucky, I will add Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe into my searchable keywords. So when people search for Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, Foreman Law Office also comes up. It's called there's literally a fucking name for it in SEO speak. It's called a conquest campaign. Now that is the extreme of when you want to take away their clients, literally, because people will call like, excuse me, is this Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe? I go, no, this is Foreman and Associates, but we'd be happy to help you,
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's good.
So I didn't even go I don't know. It was complete bullshit, and I ignored it, and they couldn't do anything. I was like, please file suit, because you're not filing suit against me. You're suing Google.
God, I want to do that. I want to crowdfund the funniest AdWords campaign. Like let's just ruin other people, and by ruin I mean take like their views and stuff, direct them to my locals.
You are evil, man. I love it.
Just trying to increase members over on locals.
People were asking, who's my evil twin? I think he's seated to my right. Is it right? Is it left? I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Never know with the mirrored cameras.
Mm-hmm. And how the viewers see it. Like, I guess to them, you are on my right.
Left.
Well,
wait, you're left, but right looking at the camera.
Correct. Yeah. Bodily injury. We're all in favor of those, right? UNOF Jr. Wrathchild 78. I just joined as a member. Welcome. But I have followed you for a long time. Well, I'm glad you finally decided to join. Thank you, man. I assume man, maybe woman. I'm not sure. I'm also a member of Rekieta and that umbrella guy. I really like you all very much. KR is Swedish money before you ask. You gave me 100 sex. I love it. I like sex.
Look, trying to get 100 sex all the time.
If only life were that simple, Nick.
All you had to do was ask. You got 100 sex.
Ram says, will either of you cover the UVA shooting trial, the University of Virginia shooting trial?
This thing just happened, right? Isn't that going to be a bit?
Probably.
Am I crazy?
May take a couple of years. Sinbad333, love you, Larry. Nick, voice fix, honey and lemon with that whiskey.
I don't eat bee vomit, so I'm not eating honey.
Is that what you call it, Nick?
It's what it is. It's disgusting.
With that whiskey, when will locals first 5,000 get their gift unbreaded?
I don't know when they're going to get the gift. I've got the art for it, and I got to get it to the manufacturer and then get the proof. But hopefully, as soon as possible would be the idea.
Are you gifting something to your members, Nick?
Yeah, so I passed a while ago. I passed 5,000 supporting members on locals, and so I had promised to give a gift to the first 5,000. Once I hit that 5,000, I snapshot. It was actually 5,113, but I took a snapshot of everybody who was there, and they will all get a gift. And then I'll probably do another one at 10,000.
Wow, very generous of you. That's cool.
Hey,
do we know what it is? Is it a surprise?
It's not been announced because I have to make sure it can fully happen in the way that I want it to before I announce it. But it's still a secret for now. But once I get confirmation from the manufacturer and get a proof, I'll show it, and then it'll happen. But yeah,
just for practical purposes, again, thinking outside the box, it sounds terrifying if it's a physical thing that is going to be delivered to addresses. I know. I'm just saying. Dude. I'm fucking. I know nothing. I know less than nothing about this.
No, I'm gonna have. That's one of the things I talked to the manufacturer about. I'm like, we need to find a system where you're doing the shipping direct, because I'm not gonna get a pallet of these things and sit there writing them out. No, you ship stuff so you can ship this, and if you can't do it, then I'll find someone else who can.
There you go. At Comic-Con South Dakota Southeast, I saw a Christmas-themed mock trial with 9th Circuit judges and federal prosecutors. It says Musings of Apathy. That's cool. That is cool. Donald Gooch, what Death Wish said.
Word.
Nicholas Starro, witness, I can be a biker or a hippie by just changing my vest. I'm down, bro.
Go.
Let's fucking do it. Tim pulls Yamaka Beanie. The Delphi case is a murder of 2 teen girls in Indiana that happened in 2017, and a defendant was recently arrested. The trial is set in March. Kids were lured to the scene via Snapchat by a CP distributor. What's a CP?
Child inappropriate content.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, gotcha. That is fucking terrifying, and I'm glad they finally arrested the perp. So maybe we'll be watching that trial. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be public. 3 months from now? So we'll see. Jay Seal, did you see Cocaine Cross got suspended? Yes, I did. And I believe they're using another account. They made a new account and blocked all Johnny Depp supporters after making fun of the Johnny Depp fan that passed away, yet we attack them.
I don't know who Cocaine Cross is.
She's just an Amber Heard top tier stan is the best way I can describe her.
Then she sounds wild.
And she is circumventing the ban rules openly, admitting, this account has been banned. I'm on this account until I can get that account back. Like literally, it's in a fucking tweet.
There you go.
So
don't ban anybody ever. That's my thought.
Jonathan, I drove this car here. God damn it, I'm driving it back.
Oh, you got more sex. That was amazing.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot about that.
Getting lots of it
Yay,
tonight.
sex. Nick, are you going to address the election interference? I need rage, says Lily
Not going
Smith.
to talk about anything like that on DUI Guys channel on YouTube. No, thank you.
Musky Queen 66. You guys are a dynamic duo. Nick definitely isn't as sassy without his whiskey.
Well, I can be sassy if you ask. I don't
That's
need
nicely.
I don't need the whiskey to do it, but just give me a reason.
I think that catches us up. So I did not expect the stream to last this long. I know, Nick, you're a fucking trooper. I know you do like 7-hour
all
streams.
The girls say.
So I don't know how long I can keep you here until the manager comes knocking. Are you streaming tonight? Are you doing a locals or a rumble? I know you streamed earlier.
Okay, so I have to take a short jaunt actually to one of my locals members just moved kind of close to me. I was going to go to a housewarming party that's going on, and then I'm going to shoot back down to my house and possibly pop on Flashcast, or I might just do it from my car. We'll see. And then and then I may do a locals stream of some sort after that. I'm not 100% sure. I was in my hot tub this morning. It only makes sense to go back in the hot tub tonight, or to do a Twitch watch party. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do.
Dude, good for you. That is like where do you find the energy?
This is all I do outside of like parenting and stuff. Like, this is my entertainment. Like, I love my job so much. It's just when people are like, oh, when I miss something, it's like, oh, Nick missed this or whatever. When I miss something, I miss it very badly. Like, I love doing this. I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. I don't have much time to read anymore because I just do this. So that's my thing. That's where I get the energy, is from just having fun, being on streams and doing stuff like that. So
rock and roll, man. I mean, sounds like you got your hands full. So how about we just pause it right here, and we're not going to end the stream. We are simply going to adjourn it to a different time. How about that?
Sounds good to me, man. We should do it again. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I forgot how fun streams are with you, man. It's I think Farron and I had a similar type chemistry. It's about professionalism when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. Like, I remember seeing some clips of some streamers who just trying to talk over each other and just yelling at each other, arguing. I don't know. It's not my style, bro. I like to respect my guests. I like to respect my viewers. I don't know. I'm just all about cohesion and working together rather than like fighting for who's got the mic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lily Smith, I meant on your Rumble or anywhere. That must be a follow-up.
Yeah. Again, either locals or Twitch are possible tonight. It all depends on Flashcast and timing there. I haven't really been on Flashcast a lot. I normally go on every Saturday, so we'll figure it out. But there'll be something. I'm gonna be somewhere. And well,
scour the internet basically, and you'll find Nick.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'm teasing.
RekietaLaw.locals.com. Follow for free. You don't have to pay a dime, and you can get access to my posts where I'll tell you where I'll be, either on my own channel or on someone else's channel, with links and everything. I post constantly on there when I do appearances or when I do my own show. So if you want to see where I am tonight and every other night, join Locals for free. You don't have to pay anything.
Fuck yeah. Danny, by the way, I'm holding you to it. Send me an email, lforeman30@gmail.com. We'll do. I know you're you were recently in an election, weren't you? I
Yes.
think did she win? Did she lose?
No, she did not win, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Well, or maybe fortunately, because if she had won, she would have been a prosecutor and probably wouldn't be able to do 99% of this shit. So it's kind of cum si cum sa, win loss. You know, I don't know. The public wins, even though she has lost the election.
I was going to say that the public might have lost a good faith prosecutor. However, the internet,
Touché.
I believe, is gaining someone who is very fun and very, very smart to do some commentary. We need more commentary everywhere.
Yes. All right. Well, Nick Rekieta, am I pronouncing that correctly? Rekieta. I'm just kidding.
Rekieta.
I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You know, the meme.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Nick. This has been fucking fun, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much been a pleasure for me. And yeah, let's do it again. Your channel, my channel, both channels. Ooh.
Definitely. Both channels. Don't talk to me like that, man. I'm getting horny.
Oh no. It's
by the way,
lovely voice.
Don't forget that, that's what I'm attracted to, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you knew that.
I totally 84 more packs of cigarettes.
I forgot to plug this in, but I'm going to take a moment. So we have this merch. It is pinned right over Nick's head, to the left, to the right, whatever the fuck it is, right there. You got it. T-shirts, mugs, pint glasses with Johnny Depp, with a mega pint. You lost. Here, have a mega pint. Go get one. They're amazing. They're fun. I'm wearing one right now. I'm still waiting on my pint glass. It still hasn't arrived because it's coming from like this otherworldly fucking planet, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, they're good stuff. Really fun stuff, especially if you've been following the trial. Peaches says, Larry, do you have a post office box for fan mail? I do not. I should probably get one, but most of the stuff that was sent to me like during the trial was literally sent to my office address, which is public. It's like you Google my name, you Google the DUI guy, it's all public. So if you want to send me something, feel free to send it to my office. I will definitely look at it. 1139 South 4th Street in Louisville. It's literally, it's my building. I don't know if you guys knew that. I own that building. It is mine. So if the mail comes there, nobody steals it, I will get it. Well, here we go. Thank you, Nick.
My pleasure, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. Bye, chat.
That was Nick fucking Rekieta, everybody. That was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while since we streamed. I don't remember if we did any streams post-trial. I know I was definitely the biggest one that I was on with Nick was in that day I didn't get into the courtroom. I'm pretty sure that was the not the biggest, I should say, the latest one. The latest one was that May 27th day when I didn't get into the courtroom. I popped into his stream and told him about everything that happened. So anyway, we're definitely going to do it again. That was definitely a lot of fun. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all learned something. I hope your questions were answered. Just generally, I hope you had some fucking fun, yo. Honestly, this is all about, especially for viewers and content creators alike, it's all about having a good time. If we're having a good time and you're having a good time, then our job is done. If we're laughing and we're making you laugh, then our job is done. So I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for joining us. And what do we have coming up? So tomorrow I was planning on doing a review of Katie Meyer's complaint. Katie Meyer's complaint. If you don't know who Katie Meyer is, she is the girl who has unfortunately unlived herself when she received an email from Stanford stating that um, just basically a lot of bad things are coming her way because she spilled coffee on a student who allegedly committed sexual assault. Um, her complaint was filed in California. I have a copy. It is very lengthy. I don't know if we're going to go through every nook and cranny of that complaint, but we're definitely going to browse it. That's probably what we're going to do tomorrow, unless something crazy happens tomorrow morning and we're going to shift gears. So that one's kind of up in the air, but more than likely that's what we're going to do. And then on Monday, we're going to have Jesus. You don't fuck with a Jesus. We're going to have Jesus, the body language expert, on Monday. And then coming up probably next weekend, we're going to have a Curious George Goes to the Hospital reading. We're going to flip it around. We're going to do, so the next book, we have 2 books left. We have Curious George Learns the Alphabet, and we have Curious George Goes to the Hospital. So I am going to flip the two. We're going to, because I mean, reading Curious George Goes to the Hospital for Christmas just doesn't make any sense, you know? So we're going to read the last book first, and then the next to last book last. We're going to read Curious George Goes to the Hospital next weekend, and then we're going to have a Christmas special with a surprise and a treat for everybody. We're going to read Curious George, the last book in the Curious George series, on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day is when I'm going to stream it. So those two are going to be coming up for sure. And then in between, we'll see. Whatever happens, happens, right? So once again, thank you all very much for joining me. Thank you, Nick Rekieta, for coming on to the channel. And boy, that motherfucker is a trooper. Almost a 3-hour stream, and that it's like nothing. And it didn't even feel like 3 hours for me. I'll be honest. It did not feel like 3 hours. It just, when you have a great guest and we're both, respectful of each other, and we are getting great questions and we're getting great content out, time just flies. I can't believe it's 10 o'clock where I'm at in the evening. So very, very exciting. Very, very hopeful. And of course, we're going to have the series. Like I told you, the mock trial series. I've already received several emails from you all. So thank you. Thank you for reaching out. Definitely am interested in doing this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be very unique. It's also, as Nick said, might be a little challenging, but hopefully we have enough of a platform to where if we at least have, if we have 4 people, a judge, a prosecutor, if it's a criminal case, or a plaintiff's attorney, if it's a civil case, a defense attorney, criminal or civil, and a witness or a person that can play like all the witnesses, I think we can make it work. I really do. I think we can make it work. Danny, you want to be the plaintiff? I have no problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, the audience is going to be chat. So absolutely, Pugs and Hugs, you and everybody are going to be in the audience. The jury, the audience, whatever you want to call yourselves. Definitely. Once again, thank you all so much. Don't forget to like this video, comment below if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Nick, go on his Rumble, go on his locals, go on his Twitter, go on his YouTube, and like and subscribe. They're all free. You can also pay as a member to join on as a member to my channel, his channel, and his locals, and his Rumble, and all that good stuff. Till then, thank you all so much. I will see you all tomorrow, probably in the early evening. We'll see. And we're going to do more than likely Katie Meyer's complaint. So thank you all so much. I love every single one of you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.